How's it going, everyone? Should be a fun live stream, I think. Get some music on for myself. Got my own notification that I went live, so should be good to go. How's everyone doing? There was a little bit of news today. I am normally not a I just need to make sure this doesn't come through and get me copyright struck. I'm normally not a... Oh man, amplitude. Amplitude. Why? Why do you do this? Way too generous. I appreciate you very much. Dropping the 50 gifted subs. He must be here for the spice tonight. But yeah, CGC updated their grading standards. They updated their grading standards and their case. And BB says, what's the news? New lawnmower. I'd imagine everyone in here has probably seen something about the news today, whether it was CGC being live themselves on their Instagram at 3 o'clock, whether it was the post on Instagram, whether it was various Discords. If people want me to do like an overview, let me know. I probably will anyways, just really quickly as we have people trickle in. But Kai says, I think Dan liked the change. Walrus says he's doing it. I'm normally not like a go live reaction to the hot breaking news. But tomorrow I want to have my eBay vault. I think I have this image here. Yeah. So I want to talk about this tomorrow, not about CGC. So I am doing this live tonight so that we don't have to talk about it tomorrow. So Q&A. I will get to questions eventually. I might do a little bit of like PK style where I rant for a little while, talk through my feelings and whatever. A little bit of self therapy. But we'll see where it goes. I just wanted to have a talk about the CGC news tonight. It is pretty drastic change to what CGC is doing. So for anyone who doesn't know, anyone who's been under a rock all day, anyone just turning on the internet for the first time today, CGC Gem 9.5s are now, any blue CGC 9.5 Gem Mint will be able to be sent to CGC in July for a Gem Mint 10. So the grade is not, the number is changing, but the grade is not changing. CGC is doing away with the perfect 10s as well. So if you have a perfect 10, that card can no longer be achieved after, I believe it's July 12th. And other than that, I was hopeful that maybe half grades were going away. There was probably an hour-long period this morning where I thought half grades were gone. 9.5s were going to 10s. Presumably 8.5s would either go to 8s or 9s, 7.5s to 7s or 8s. That doesn't seem to be the case. It seems like we're still stuck with 9.5s, 8.5s, 7.5s, half grades all through. To me, I've said this on my own live stream, or I've said it on PokeFlip somewhere on the internet, maybe on a video. The perfect scale would be PSAs with no half grades. PSA doesn't use their half grades legitimately. They just throw them out willy-nilly at random. There's not like a normal distribution around the PSA half grades. Whereas that's one thing I can give credit to CGC. They have an actual grading scale, normal distribution centered around approximately 9, CGC 9. And tonight we can look at Pokemetrics. We can look at a bunch of different places, as much data as you want to. I actually prepared a little bit of like, a little bit of a spreadsheet on what my business thoughts are, what the implications will be to my bottom line when I'm submitting certain cards. You know, I had to look at the tried and true Celebrations Charizard. What is the new EV under this new grading scale? If everything else were to be held equal, if all the market conditions were to be held equal, if the new thing was just widely accepted and things that remain the same price, which is a big if. But obviously we need to make some amount of assumption. So we can go as far as this with you want, or we can do this. We can wrap this up in half an hour. I guess it depends on where we go. But Overall, I there's kind of a meme that I'm fairly robotic. I like to logic everything out. I like to not react too drastically to any big news. I like to just sit down and think it out logically. Just logic it out. And talking about some of my older videos, this is something that affects me greatly. I have thousands of blue label CGC slabs that are now affected, some positively, some negatively. But at the end of the day, I can't control it. So even though it affects me, I still can't control it. It doesn't check both boxes. I can't overly worry about it. At the end of the day, the news was reported today. It was released today. I'm living in a new world from what I was yesterday. And I'm a business. How am I going to react to this as a business? That's all that matters. It doesn't matter having this big emotional reaction, this, that. I kind of did do that, to be fair. I kind of did do a little bit of that. I held myself back. I didn't get too crazy, I don't think. But shout out Professor Oak's Discord. I was hanging out in there this morning with a bunch of people, and we were talking it all out. And my overall reactions initially were probably pretty negative. Pretty negative when I heard that half grades are still here. Pretty negative when I heard that the label, honestly, I don't care that much. The subgrades, I hadn't been using them for so long. Going way back to 2020 Dan when CGC first came out, and I was very new to the whole CGC thing and very optimistic on what it could be. I liked the idea. Some part of me, the collector in me, the little bit of collector that remained in me at that point, liked the idea of subgrades. It liked the idea of knowing what was wrong with the card. But business Dan, Evo Flipper Dan, where I'm at today, subgrades get in the way. They create more skews. I don't want them. Unless they're all 10s, perfect 10s, which that's now gone too, which initially my reaction was a negative. We will get into the data, if anyone cares to see it, on what effect that may have on EVs moving ahead. Because if you remove that moonshot perfect 10 chance, that does have some effects on the market for submitting cards and not having that moonshot $1,000, $2,000 opportunity there. So yeah, I've got Pokemetrics queued up. I had a bunch of tabs open and then I accidentally closed them all. I know there's some hotkey to immediately reopen them all, but I'll try to get some back open. I did pull summaries. I pulled summaries from a lot of them into an Excel spreadsheet, so it's not like I need them all anymore. But I did a fresh restart of my PC, not really thinking that I had so many tabs open that I was going to show tonight. But anyways, let me keep an eye on the chat and see if people want like more of an overview. I do have CGC's. I guess I can just pop it on the screen while I start. Of course, it's not centered. I don't know how it became uncentered, but CGC is combining with CSG, which is interesting because CGC graded a lot more than CSG ever did. It's weird that they ever were two separate things. I guess they were trying to just keep TCGs and sports separate. Rounded corners generally versus square corners, maybe it makes some amount of sense. I never really fully understood it, but whatever. At the end of the day, label, I'm not too fussed. Some people thought this thing was the abomination of the century. They thought it was like a crime against humanity. I never had a drastic reaction to the blue label. I don't think the PSA label is a work of art. I used to collect cards. I do business in cards. A lot of people just care so much more about the label than I do, apparently. At the end of the day, like, this label looks fine to me. This label looks pretty decent. I thought this one did too. I think the red PSA one looks fine. Label's not a big thing for me. Subgrades going away. They cost so much money. CGC more than doubled the price of them. So I had stopped using them because the cost went up so much. There was some theory, there was some tinfoil hat going on that maybe it was harder. And data kind of bore that out to some extent, depending on the way you looked at it and what cards you looked at. But grading your cards just created more skews. Instead of having a 9.5, I was going to have like 16 different variants of a 9.5 or whatever the math works out to. So I was moving away from subgrades because they were prohibitively expensive and they just made business more difficult. Other than that, let me just continue scrolling through quick. you lose. So you can kind of see these cards amongst the CGC. I'm not a slabbed video game collector. I'm not a comic book collector at all. But you lose. This is kind of an interesting image for them to choose because you lose that uniformity. And again, I actually have an SGC label in front of me. I have an Ace grading label in front of me. I've never been a big label guy. I just don't really care. I care more about the card art. But some amount of people really are going to hate that. Some amount of people, there's 2.5 million graded Pokemon cards out there. All other TCGs would be an addition to that. That's just Pokemon cards alone. Now people won't have that uniformity. With PSA, over the years, they added the lighthouse. They added the QR codes on the back. They added the barcodes. They had some iterations, but never so drastic. Never so drastic as this to what the new one is. And that was kind of surprising to me that they went all in. Honestly, if you had asked me a week ago, and I think I actually was asked a week ago, a little bit, we talked about it on PokeFlips with Gem Mint Collectors, I would have guessed that they were going to do a new premium label for the Perfect 10. Not only did they not do that, they did a new premium label for everything, and they scrapped the Perfect 10. That really blew my mind. That really shocked me. I was not expecting to wake up to that. But again, label's fine, subreddits being gone, whatever. They don't show any on here, but half grades are still a thing. And that kind of is annoying to me because to me, the perfect scale would be PSA scale with no half grades. PSA barely uses them. Just stop using them altogether. Like PSA is killing it right now. I don't think they should not make any changes. Clearly, BGS had the April Fool's Day debacle. CGC is doing what they're doing today. PSA has no motivation, no incentive. Like they're out front by miles. They should be looking back, looking over their shoulder a little bit, seeing what's going on, maybe eating some popcorn, checking it out. They should not be trying to change anything too drastic, though. Don't rock the boat. Right now, they're headed in a very good direction. So if PSA were to ever change anything, I've seen people propose a premium 10 at PSA. That would be terrible. If you take 42% of Pokemon cards graded today, actually slightly more, closer to half at this point, but of all the Pokemon cards graded in PSA's history, 42% are PSA 10. Let me actually show you the data. I'm not making this up. This is actually actual data from Pokemetrics. So if you look at PSA graded Pokemon cards, sorry, this is CGC. Let me switch to PSA. So if you look at PSA graded Pokemon cards, let me update, not March of 2021. Let's look at the latest data. So 8 million Pokemon cards have been graded at PSA. 3.3 million of them, almost 42% of which are PSA 10s. If PSA created a premium 10, you would now be telling 3.3 million Pokemon card owners, your card used to be a 10 out of 10, top of the scale, could not be higher. You would be telling all those that some of your cards are no longer the PSA doesn't call it perfect, but a PSA 10 is a perfect grade. It is 10 out of 10. It is the highest that PSA awards. And if PSA were to come out with a premium 10, in my opinion, that would be the worst business decision any business has ever made in the history of forever. That would be mind-blowing. The only reasonable decision PSA could possibly make, you can see how little they're utilized, but let me slide over. So PSA 8.5, 0.21% of Pokemon cards graded are a PSA 8.5. PSA 7.5, 0.01. It is such an infinitesimal amount that it's basically negligible. I actually do a lot of deep dive in data, and I always just negate away all the half grades because they just don't make any sense. So if PSA were to come up one day and say, hey, we're not doing half grades anymore, I would be like, that's kind of weird because you guys are crushing it. Like, why even change anything? But it wouldn't be overly surprising if someday they decided to nix them because they're just not doing anything. Whereas with CGC, it at least was like a uniform. You can see kind of a normal distribution if you picture it in your head. The median and the mode, I guess, is both CGC 9. Both the very middle card and then the average card is about a CGC 9. And then there's a normal distribution around that. Much to many's displeasure, 18% of all Pokemon cards grade CGC 8.5, 19% of all Pokemon cards grade CGC 9.5. Now, these 469,000 cards, they are now 10s. They were Gem Mint 9.5s. Now they are Gem Mint 10s. It is what it is. You can see the data. 20% of all Pokemon cards approximately ever graded were affected by today's news. So that many more 10s will exist. I've been, anecdotally, my 9.5s have been getting bought out left and right. I'm talking all the way down to $20 CGC 9.5 Shadowless commons and uncommons, all the way up to multi-$100 WotC. I didn't have many WotC ones, but a couple got bought. Some got bought going to a couple weeks ago, but that's a different conversation. But yeah, a lot of my 9.5s got bought, presumably for people to pay $5 and get the CGC 10. CGC Perfects, so 0.66, approximately 1 in 160. Approximately 1 in 160 Pokemon cards graded achieved the CGC 10 perfect grade. And that number will go up slightly in the coming few weeks because people can still get them if they opt to get the old grading standards instead of the new. But that number will be frozen in time as of July 12th, as far as I understand. Whatever the number is, that is how many CGC Perfect 10s will exist. Some amount have probably already been crossed to black labels. Some amount have probably been attempted to be crossed to black labels and maybe failed. But at the end of the day, this number will be somewhere around 17,000, 18,000, less than 20,000 CGC Perfect 10s will exist, which is interesting. What that dynamic will be, I don't really have many. I grade cards and I sell them. But yeah, a lot of interesting considerations. Let me try to, let me go back full screen. Let me try to catch up with chat a little bit. I am so far behind. Let me see what the commentary is. CGC is definitely easier on binder dense. Appreciate you again, Amplitude, for the 50 gifted. Crazy way to start the stream. We do have 92 people in here, so looks like they're all probably claimed at this point. Let me try to catch up the chat. Let me just run through real quick. If there's any big questions, I'll hit them. Is this a CGC bad or a CGC good kind of stream? I'm not gonna try to go either way. I'm gonna try to go like, here's the data. I'm gonna try to be like Robot Dan, just taking in information and spitting out logic and just rational thoughts. This morning, I definitely was a little bit emotional. I had a couple phone calls. I had a couple Discord calls. I had a couple people like talk me off a proverbial ledge a little bit. I was getting a little bit fired up over it all. But I looked at some data, and I don't want to say if I'm pro or con for it. It is what it is. It doesn't matter whether I like it or not. It is. So no sense whining about it. No sense throwing my hands up in anger or disgust. It's like, what do I do as a business to pivot from here? Because like it or not, this is what's happened. And adapt or die, I guess, is a phrase that was being stated a lot in 2020 timeframe, I think. So give us a recap of what changed. I talked about it mostly, but 9.5s to 10s automatically. Perfect 10s gone. Half grades are still a thing. So every CGC 9.5 will go to a 10. That is guaranteed. If you send in 9.5 and you pay $5 per slab, you will get a 10 every time. What I think is happening, but wasn't implicitly stated, let's look at a better one. Let's look at this nice Selby. If you have a 9, this has no subgrades. If you have a quad 9, say this had subgrades and they were all 9+, maybe 9++, they talked about it in the live stream, kind of confusing when you get into 9++. A 9++ would be, Amplitude, you're crazy. Amplitude just dropped another 50. I appreciate you, but you're crazy. If you have a 9 and it has 4 subgrades of 9 or higher, and 2 of them at least are 9.5, I believe, you'll get a 9.5, a new 9.5, not an old 9.5. So a blue 9.5 goes to a 10, and an old quad 9++ goes to a new 9.5. It's really kind of crazy when you start thinking about it too hard like that and getting into that verbiage. So yeah, let's I did listen before I went live here. I did listen to PK stream. He is on brand for PK. He's doing the whole PK thing. Not a major fan of CGC. He's not full time though. He's not like interacting at such a level to like doing this every day, all day. So for me, I think it's a bigger consideration, and it's a bigger like, I don't need them in my business, and I don't use them as much as I use PSA. But I have actually, starting several weeks ago, I actually had started stepping up. I probably submitted 400-ish cards, and then I have a couple hundred more, like almost fully ready already to submit to CGC over the past several weeks and moving ahead. What's the plan, Dan? My plan is to continue to submit to CGC. So we'll probably get into it more at another point, but my plan is to continue to use CGC. I actually have 108 U Nagabas. I have 12 of each evolution promo at CGC. I sent them an email today. I want the old labels. I want the chance for a perfect 10. Perfect 10s will be a thing of the past at some point. If I can get one of the few Moonbreons, I mean, all these, Sylveon, Leafeon, some of them are kind of lagging the others. I really like Jolteon, Flareon, Vaporeon. I really like the original ones, but then Moonbreon, Espeon get a lot of love. All of them are great. All of them have a lot of fans. But I told them, hey, 12 of each evolution. I mean, I have a lot more packs. I have hundreds and hundreds, probably almost 1,000 more packs. So I want to try to achieve a perfect 10, and then I'm gonna send more in next week and say, give me the new label. So I'm gonna have some old label, some new label. I'm not crazy about how many different listings I'll have to have, but I'm gonna take that like moonshot, my last chance at a moonshot money grab that perfect 10. So that's my plan. I don't have any guest stars. I guess I might have a couple people that could theoretically pop in later and give their thoughts. But nothing planned, nothing set in stone. Someone doesn't know, tell me you're not in Discord without telling me you're not in Discord. But yeah, my plan is I made a video back in 2021, I believe, or 2022 maybe, early 2022, that I was done with CGC because they graded too hard and then they softened their standards. And at the end of the day, I'm a business. If they will make me money, I will use them. I mean, that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. There are things that all these grading companies do that make my life a lot easier as a business. Being able to sell a card as a mint 9 with some kind of a third-party authentication, with some part of a third-party opinion that I don't have to... The buyer doesn't have to trust me. They just have to trust the company. CGC obviously might be rattling the trust with some people with this news, but at the end of the day... My wife told me I say it at the end of the day a lot, so now every time I say it, I think about it consciously, and I need to start trying to say it less. But she's probably watching right now. But yeah, if CGC, I still like the product. As a collector, I like the clarity. The case clarity will still be a thing. The label, I didn't hate it. I don't hate the new one. I don't love either of them. I don't love any label. I've never seen a label that I just fall in love with. There's some people on Instagram doing some crazy things with like extended art labels but I almost said at the end of the day, I collect the cards. I enjoy the cards, art. What's on the label doesn't matter that much to me. Big numbers, no whammies. CGC is giving more big numbers. So that's one interesting thing. Let's go back to Pokemetrics really quickly. So CGC up to today gave out 0.66% of the time you would be blessed with a CGC Perfect 10. 3.85% of the time you would be blessed with a CGC Pristine 10. Now, presumably, all else equal, you would add 19 plus 4. So you would get 23% of the time you will get a CGC 10. 4.5% of those, approximately, will be pristine 10s, because you'll have to add perfects and 10s. And then 19% of them will be gem mint 10s. So instead of 4.5% of the time getting a 10, pristine or perfect, now you're going to be spending 24% of the time getting a gem mint 10 or pristine, perfects being gone. Numbers go up. Averages will go up. It was stated on the live stream, which I wasn't a huge fan of. It was stated on the live stream by CGC executives that collectors' numbers will be going up, so the value should be going up, and they should like that. I forget what the exact verbiage was. Something about the numbers are going up, so the money should go up, and everyone should like that. That was a little bit... I have certain feelings about that, but look at other grading card companies. Look at PSA... Look at all these companies being owned by companies that also own auction houses. Look at there's a lot of like intermingling of conflicts of interest potentially and all those things. It's uniform across our industry. It's just all out there. Not saying it's right, not saying it's okay, not saying I love it. But if you're going to criticize CGC for talking about and interacting in some extent with the secondary market, as they did today, as they talked about it today specifically on the stream, you have to recognize that PSA is owned by Collectors Holdings, which also owns Golden. There's a lot of that kind of stuff going on. Love it or hate it, it just is what it is. Again, Perfect 10 stunks going up. I'm not making any plays based on that, but I've heard some people, oh, I have a 1 of 1 Perfect 10. There will never be another. There could be another. People have 3 weeks to try to get another. So maybe there's a play to try to get a Perfect 10 in the next 3 weeks. I am trying that with my Nagabas. Nagaba, I don't know how to say it exactly, but I'm trying to get like a couple new super low pop, discontinued forever Perfect 10s. I guess that's a tiny play that I'm doing by not opting to have my cards held until July 12th to get the new label. Just joining, how many 9.5s did you buy today, Dan? I know you were bidding in silence. I bought 0. I sold probably nearly 100. There were tons of people buying multi-quantity from me. I probably sold 50 to 100 9.5 gem mints that will be paid $5 a piece. One thing that I don't have them behind me. I thought I had them behind me. I did up until like yesterday when I straightened up a little bit. But I was selling CGC 9.5 gem mint Charizards from Celebrations for 130 a pop. Someone bought all 3 of them that I had. I bought those cards for 80 near mint on TCG Player. I'm selling the CGC 10s for 200. So someone buys from me for 130. They're going to pay shipping plus 5, so say 140. They'll be $10 more all in fees. They're going to be in for 140 for a card that sells for 200. They're going to make a little money, but I'm just going to take that 130 they paid me and buy more raw near mint copies and grade more 10s myself. So I didn't want to make the play myself personally. There are a couple cards that I delisted. I had a CGC 9.5 Burn Tower in the eBay vault that I'll have to recall and get back to get the 10 gem mint grade. But ultra modern cards that are super accessible, super easy to buy raw mint, gem mint, I'm just going to buy more raw. Like, take all my Umbreon Celebrations 9.5s. Take all my Ancient Mew 9.5s. Take all of them. Because I think truly, and I could be wrong here, this is speculation. I'm trying to be like data driven. I'm showing you Pokemetrics. I'm going to show you prices from eBay. I'm trying to be completely data driven. This is where I'm getting into guessing. I'm guessing that CGC 10 prices will go down. I'm guessing that pristine 10s might hold where they are. They might do something a little bit different. I don't know. But gem mint, I don't think CGC 10 prices will go all the way down to where 9.5s were. Maybe on some cards they will. But I do think that gem mint, sorry, not gem mint, but 10s will go down. Because 10s used to be pristine. Now they're only gem mint. So a gem mint 10 will sell for less than a pristine 10. I think that's almost certain. But probably more than a 9.5 gem mint. All this terminology, all this stuff is just so crazy. So crazy to try to go on here. Red lights, Dan Rants, please. I thought about coming on with the red lights, but I'm trying to be at peace, trying to be like level-headed, calm. I got a little bit red light Dan earlier in Discord voice in Oaks, but I'm going to try to stay robotic. I'm going to try to stay logical, rational, not choosing sides, not getting like too fired up. We'll see though. We'll see where we end up. I don't have any bedtime tonight, so we'll see. $5 is low for CGC 9.5 to CGC 10. Is it worth to rehold it for $5 or crack for PSA 10 for cards like Scream EV? Just because you have a CGC 9.5 does not mean you will get a PSA 10. Just because both of them say gem mint, just because you have a PSA 10. There are hundreds of thousands of PSA 10s that if you crack them out, you would not again achieve a PSA 10. So having a CGC 9.5, looking at the data, it is interesting because if you look, only 25%, so 25% of all cards, approximately 24%, get CGC 9.5 or higher. Whereas at PSA, 42% get PSA 10s. That fully envelops the top 25 percentiles at CGC, which fully envelops the Gem Mint 9.5 grade. If you looked at that data alone, and this is something that I've said in multiple videos a year ago, several months ago, in Patreon conversations that I've had, just because the CGC 9.5 Gem Mint is fully enveloped, the 75th percentile of CGC is a Gem Mint 9.5. The 75th percentile, I mean, the 60th percentile at PSA is a PSA 10. That does not mean every 9.5 will go to a 10. Be very careful with that. Be very careful buying out CGC 9.5s today, assuming they'll get either PSA 10s. You can assume, because CGC has told you, you can guarantee a blue label CGC 9.5 will get a CGC 10. But there are examples, and I will go through them if you want to. PSA 10 Celebrations Charizard. I sold 50. I sold 50 in 2 weeks. 40 or 50. Every time I say it, the number goes up and the days go down. I sold about 40 in 2 weeks for $220 to $250. That card is selling today for $220. Liquid as water. Liquid. I had like 8 CGC 10s, pristine, way harder to get, but the market doesn't care. It didn't matter. I struggled to sell my Charizards for $200 to $220. They sold way slower. It took me weeks to sell like 5 of them. So CGC 9.5s, I was selling for $130. I sold them all today at $130. I sold none prior to today at $130. They all sold today at $130. But when people take those for $130, they pay $10 extra with grading and shipping to get the new 10. They're going to struggle to sell it for $200. It's plus EV probably for a short time. But if everyone buys every Gem Mint 9.5 and 470,000, not all of them obviously will flood CGC. I have a bunch of them. I'm just going to sell and I'm going to let other people do it. But if too many people flood all these to auctions all at once, CGC 10s, not this CGC 10, not the pristine one, the Gem Mint one, so this one. If too many of those flood all at once, that might drastically go down. It's already down. Not only is the 9.5 Gem Mint substantially lower than PSA 10 for almost everything, the CGC 10 pristine that's only achieved on 4% of cards is often less than the Gem Mint 10 that's achieved on 10 times as many cards. So PSA 10 is 10 times easier per the raw data. Every card is different, but per the raw data, overall, a PSA 10 is achieved 10 times as frequently as a CGC 10 pristine, and oftentimes the price and the liquidity are lower on the pristine 10. So what do you think about this new Gem Mint CGC 9.5? Today, my Charizards from Celebration sold for $130. My CGC 10 sold over the past few weeks for $200, and my PSA 10s sold for $220 to $250. If you had to guess one way or the other, is there upward or downward pressure on the CGC 10? The pristine might be fine. The pristine might hold at $200. I've heard some people say it might go up. I don't know what the incentive or what the motivation will be for the CGC 10 pristine to go up. Maybe the perfect will go up because you can't get it anymore. But I have a hard time seeing how the CGC 10 pristine isn't going to be dragged down by 5 times as many CGC 9.5s coming in. Even though they're not the 10 pristine, they're just going to be a Gem Mint 10. I don't see how that doesn't have a negative pull on the pristine 10. But I'd be very open. I'd be very open to hearing what people thought about that, because I could be wrong here. The market, I always say the market likes big numbers. So just from it going from a 9.5 to a 10, I can see how the 9.5 gets boosted. The Gem Mint gets boosted. But how or why would that boost the pristine as well? Maybe it does. Maybe I'm just not seeing it. But I have a hard time. Where does it say they're using half grades? So let me see if I can queue it up. Let me go back full screen. Let me make sure I don't show. It's gonna be so hard. It's gonna be so hard to find them. I'm gonna try to find a few Facebook links that I had seen. Let me, they are using half grades though. Some of those have names though from Facebook, so I don't want to show it. One thing that's crazy, they put out all this information. There are still so many people confused on what's happening. Like, why didn't they elaborate better? There was a good hour where I did not know if half grades were a thing. I can assure you, half grades are a thing. There are like Facebook groups where they elaborated that half grades are a thing. an unfortunate thing in my opinion, but it is what it is. My card just got past grading and is now on assembly. When do they tell me the grade? Soon. Good evening, Tennis Wolf. This man was so mad he resorted to spreadsheeting in rage. What? Question, is CGC profiting off $5 reholdering fee? What would you accept as a new grading fee when they do the new launch? I'm assuming the grading fee is going to be the same. Like, why would the grading fee change? They're still getting, like, people saying they're completely dead and this and that. Their volume has gone down, but PSA's has to some extent too. I assume it's going to be 15 still. I assume it's going to be 15, $13.50 with a membership. $5 off a reholdering fee. They're not losing money. I'm going to say they're probably not losing money grading cards for $5. And all they're doing here is reholdering. So if the label says 9.5, all they got to do is have someone punch in the cert. I would think the cert numbers would stay the same. So punch in the cert, print off the new thing, pop it out, pop it in. They're not making a ton. They're not making a killing off it, but I bet you they're making money. They probably could break even, do it for cheaper. But 5 feels reasonable. It's a third of the grading cost. I don't know what the standard reholder fee is, but it seems like a hefty discount to that, which is reasonable in my opinion. There's a lot of CGC 9.5 selling today. Join the paywall to hear the unhinged Dan. I was in the non-paywall Discord today. This morning I was in the non-paywall. I was not hiding behind paywalls at all. I know some people don't like that, but I was in a public. I was in a public Discord today. Live Dan reaction. Yep. Membership just expired. Thanks, Amplitude. I thought you were talking about CGC membership at first. I need to check mine and see. They're doing away with the need for memberships, I guess. Dennis Wolf says unpopular opinions incoming. Do you think the blue slab will hold any worth? The card inside is still the card inside. I think some people get way too hung up on slabs and labels and colors and this and that. The cards have not changed overnight. It's mind-blowing. And one thing that it didn't feel great when it was said. And I think I gave too much credit to the market, honestly. But when Matt Quinn said today that 9.5s are now 10s, 10's a bigger number, every collector should like that, and they should be worth more. He pointed at the illustrator in front of him that used to be a 9.5 Gem Mint illustrator that was now a 10. All that's changed, the card is the same. The name of the grade is the same, Gem Mint. But because Gem Mint 9.5 went to Gem Mint 10, and the numbers 9.5 turned into 10, they should be worth more. That was so scary to hear. And this morning, Dan did not stand for it. This morning, Dan did not want to hear it. But logic and reason and rationale, it's interesting to say that because to me, it feels like the opposite of all those things. But not experience, not logic or reason, but experience prevailed. I think the market will truly value things more just because the number is different. Like this card, I'm going to reholder this card. Where did it go? Right here. I'm going to reholder this card. Everything about it will remain the same. This is a quad 9.5 that didn't sell for whatever it didn't sell for. In a month, it will be a 10, a Gem Mint 10. Same card, same everything, all the same issues that led to them giving a 9.5 on all 4 subgrades, yet people will want it more because it says 10. Like, that's the world we live in. That I forgot that this morning. I don't know why, but for a few hours, I forgot that people just want big numbers. I say it all the time. All people want are big numbers. And this morning, I forgot that. So CGC's giving more bigger numbers. They did take away the biggest number. They took away the perfect 10. And we can look at the math. I said many times we can look at the math, but it's sad, kind of. It's a little bit icky feeling, especially hearing it coming from the grading company themselves. But that's the world we live in. In my opinion, and me personally, as a business, as a collector years ago, as a somewhat collector today, I do not value this card anymore because at the top it says 10. I used to be a 9 collector because that's where I found value. And then it's like I started collecting some 8s, and then it's like, okay, I'm going to do binders. And now it's like, I can't collect anything because you guys are crazy. But plus I do this full time and I can't tithe the capital, blah, blah, blah. But the fact that some people pay more because the number, it's just scary. One thing that's scary is that they didn't do the market research 3 years ago to know that ahead of time. Because if you had asked me, and I had this discussion in Discord, and PSA's dominance 3 years ago was not to the extent that it is today. So to be fair, BGS was a bigger player proportionally than they are today, I think, especially in sports, in Magic more so than Pokemon. But it blows my mind a little bit that they didn't come to this realization sooner. And then they cling to the half grades still. Like if you're going to try to lean towards PSA, you're losing the black label. You're losing the Moonshot Perfect. That is the best thing about BGS in many regards. And you're losing the best thing about PSA is that they barely use half grades. It's just 1 through 10. They get stupid occasionally and they throw out half grades for no reason. But it's almost like in some respects, you can argue like the worst of both worlds. I kind of wish they had retained my perfect scenario. Having woke up this morning, if they told me the perfect 10 existed, the pristine 10, don't like call it gem mint, call it pristine, I don't care. But all of the 9.5s and all of the non-perfect 10s, if those were mushed together as the gem mint 10, pristine 10, whatever you want, I don't care. That's the 10. The black label, perfect 10, super duper premium, onyx, titanium 10, and then no half grades. That would have been the perfect thing to wake up to this morning. That's what I wanted, CGC. Give me the onyx, platinum, perfect, amazing, spectacular 10. Give me the gem mint 10 that encompasses all the 9.5s and round up or like all the other half grades, go up, go down. I don't care. Half of the cards grade 9 or higher. It's like I just don't even care that much about the grades below that. They're not super relevant. But yeah, let's continue on. I got stuck on that one for a while. If you don't support the change, don't adopt. I don't really, again, I don't care about the labels. The numbers are bigger. I don't really care. I'm not collecting them. I'm selling them largely. So I'm not strongly for or against it. I think this morning I was more negative on it overall. But from other respects, I'm getting more 10s now. So I'm going to get more 10s, bigger numbers. Yeah. My unpopular opinion is I like the new pristine label. It's fire. I think it's fine. Like they're kind of copying Beckett with that, the gold thing. It's interesting because they talked about the toned down version of the black label, the more sleek look, whatever they called it. And then they kind of went in your face. So they talked about the toned down sleek look, which I don't know. Maybe it's more black and white are more universal, right? Like I'm not a big fashion guy. I don't know what colors match with what colors or whatever, but these ones clash more, I think. Like gold clashes more with certain card arts and certain colors. And I think they look fine though. Like I think the old ones look fine. I think these ones look fine. I do like the idea. One thing that I thought was going to happen, I thought they were going to come out with a new perfect 10. This is what it looks like. This is a distinguishing factor so that it's not just the same thing with subgrades on it. Because some pristine 10s had subgrades too. So it was hard to tell them apart. But yeah, I'm not too fussed over the labels themselves. I'm not too fussed over losing the half grades. I'm more fussed on like, why do you still have half grades? Subgrades, I think I meant. I'm not fussed on losing subgrades because I wasn't using them lately. I did just grade an Art Academy card with subgrades. That was stupid. But I'm just going to have to get that regraded without this. One of the subs was pretty bad too, so it graded a CGC 8, which sucked. But I'm just going to make that a plain 8. Maybe it'll be an 8.5 now. Maybe it'll be a 9. Maybe it'll be a 10. Who knows? I'm just going to send it back. I'll probably crack it. I mean, cracking's not that difficult. I've wrecked a couple cards, but I'll be very careful with that one. Crack it, send it back, and see what it gets. Re-roll it on the roulette wheel. Tell me what I get. How to sub ready to go on their way. If I had cards that were hard to replace, I would not send them today. I would wait till the market cools. If you have cards like this, like going back to the title of the video, what did I title the video? If I go back to the title of the video, my plan. If you have cards like this, that you have them spilling out of everywhere, you can order them by the hundreds of packs. If you have Celebrations Charizards, if you have Ancient Muse, grade a bunch under the old, go for the perfect, grade a bunch under the new. Who cares? Like you can get a million more at all times. If you have Art Academies, if you have WotC Hellos that are mint ones that are hard to get back, if you have cards that are hard to replace, take your time, like don't rush into anything. But with inventory that's so replaceable, that's just so, I don't care. Like grade my Nagabas, give me some perfect 10s. I might send back some of the 9.5s in a month. Who cares? I can replace the cards so much easier. It's 100 cards that I can just get more of tomorrow. I already have them sitting right here. So pending what the cards are, my plan is different. Most of the cards I'm grading lately are the super replaceable ones. So I'm just like, I might try to sneak in a couple more 100 cards to try to just snag a couple perfects. That might be kind of my play. We'll see though. Crazy though. It's crazy that all this is even a thing. Honestly, when my 9.5 started selling, I'm like, okay, short term, CGC just paid me $1,000, couple $1,000 today because 9.5s that wouldn't have otherwise sold. As sad as it is to say, that felt good. I mean, it felt like, hey, I have 2,000 CGC slabs, many of which just got devalued. I have to pay $5 to get the new current label, but I did just get rid of 100 of them or something. I got rid of 5% of my inventory from people that are going to pay the $5 and get it upgraded. Which great. Like, great. Hopefully they make a little money. I worry that some of them might not, but I don't worry that much. Like, whatever. They know the risks, or hopefully they know the risks on what they're doing. But, yeah, it's an interesting thing. At the end of the day, I'm a business, and if they can make me money, I will grade with them. And I think they still can. A lot of people were saying CGC was dead 6 months ago, 2 months ago, 6 days ago. CGC was not dead 6 days ago. CGC was not dead 6 months ago. CGC is not dead today or under these new things. CGC will likely still have applications. Turning around cards in 2 weeks is massive. Being able to buy a Near Mint Celebrations Charizard for 80 on TCG Player, 70 to 80, and then grade it, and then sell my 9s for 90. My 9.5s probably would have moved quickly if I sold them at like 110, which would have been a tiny margin. And then I was grading a decent percentage of pristine 10s that slowly, but they sold for 200. That's over $100 profit a piece. And then the other's about break even. What should I do with my MetaZoo CGC 9.5s? I have a lot of them. I'm not going to pay $5 to reslab them. If someone else wants to, please go on my eBay right now. I think I have 100 plus MetaZoo CGC 9.5s at like $15 a piece. Go make a ton of money off me, please. Like, please buy all of them. Send me offers. I will take slightly less money on all of them. You'll actually get a discount. Every third one you buy, you'll get $5 off. So go buy me out. Go arbitrage me. New scale arbitrage me, please. Do Beckett 9.5s also cross the CGC 10s? Beckett to the moon. Black labels are definitely a thing. If we look at the data, BGS has some positive EV scenarios out there that I don't know if I want to completely spill the play, spill the beans. It's not like, we'll see. We'll see what I end up showing, what data. I did scrape together a little bit of data though. 9.5. I'm looking at the live chat now because I'm like 40 minutes behind. 9.5 CGC and MetaZoo, I would declare bankruptcy. Maybe PK. PK is probably listening. Maybe he's not though. But PK might buy me out of all my 9.5 CGC MetaZoo cards. That might be too spicy of an opportunity to arbitrage off me. Got an email. I've been gifted a sub. Thanks, sub gifter. Alexis, thanks you. Amplitude, our resident sub gifter. Always preferred a minimalist label so it doesn't distract from the card. CGC, PSA's red is pretty like harsh and non-minimalist, I would say. I think the black is less harsh. The blue to me wasn't, the sky blue like wasn't that harsh, but I don't really know. I don't really care about the labels that much. Thought HGA was merging with CGC for a second. The 10 people use ace grading are happy now. It creates such incongruence in the company branding. It's just not a good move and screams desperation to try and stay competitive with PSA. I will say, CGC presumably has plans to be here in 50 years. if and when the market receives this better, which they may. I was pessimistic earlier this morning, but all things considered, a different way to say at the end of the day, CGC just went overnight from awarding 4% tens to 24% tens. 6 times as many people will get a 10. That's a bigger number than a 9.5. That might be all the market wants. I've been like, I always say bigger numbers better. We like big numbers. Give us big numbers. This could be huge. They did all kinds of, they mentioned they did all kinds of case studies and this and that. And I don't know. I know a little bit about like the science behind polling and random samples. And a lot of people were like screaming, hey, I wasn't polled. I wasn't asked. I don't know how they generated their sample. They probably used a third-party person to like poll people. And yeah, I'm not going to get into that too much. But I'm assuming they had some kind of like mathematical soundness behind their randomized sampling and doing actual market studies, market analysis. That's not like a brand new thing. It's not like it's something all these different focus groups and all these different studies companies do. So I'm assuming they went like one thing that you need to understand. And I've said this in defense of MetaZoo multiple times. We're talking about CGC and MetaZoo. Sorry, PK. But CGC is working with their best interest and what they think is best for the future of the company at heart. They have more data. They have more information. They have all the data. We don't have it. We have some. I can look at Pokemetrics. I can look at some of this data. We can cobble some stuff together. But CGC has all of it. And they're not trying to sink their company. Like, you might not agree with it, but you don't have all the same information they have to get to this decision. So you need to realize, and obviously, like Blockbuster decades ago, they had more information than we had, and they didn't fight Netflix. They didn't pivot. They didn't change. And maybe if CGC had stayed how they were, maybe they would have Blockbustered themselves. Maybe this is them instead of just mailing DVDs in the mail. Maybe this is CGC streaming. Maybe this is like, think of Netflix. I remember a decade ago, however long ago it was, I don't know. I remember getting DVDs in the mail from Netflix. I remember having a Netflix subscription where we got DVDs in the mail, and Netflix pivoted. Maybe this is them pivoting and saving CGC. We only have one timeline. We only have one universe. We won't see how that other parallel universe where they never pivoted works out. But all the executives at CGC, same thing with like MetaZoo with the map, minimum advertised price and all this. Some people didn't agree, but like MetaZoo had its executives that had all the data, all the information. They're making the decision with all the information they have, which is more than we have, that they think is best for them. So it is what it is. It's happened. You can't undo it. It would be insane at this point if they were to walk it back. BGS did do like an April Fool's Day. They walked it back. 9.5s equal a 10. At least CGC mathematically isn't doing anything as crazy as BGS did. CGC is just saying, we're going to shift down the top end of our scale. Or not even that. They're not even saying that. They're saying we're just going to change the number that goes next to Gem Mint. Instead of calling a Gem Mint 9.5, they're saying we're going to call that a 10. That's pretty drastic in a lot of ways, but in a lot of other ways, it's like not that drastic either. They're just changing the words that go next to or they're changing the numbers that go next to the word. So let's just see where it goes. Again, it's the train's leaving the station either way. It sucks if you're a collector that love the blue labels and you wanted them to match with I feel for that, but it is what it is at this point. And maybe if they get enough outrage like BGS did, maybe you can pitchfork them and torch them. Not saying to get actual pitchforks and torches, but maybe if there's enough rabbling in South Park, maybe they will actually go back and revert it. I would highly doubt it though at this point. I think what's done is done. I think it's more drastic, more structural, like company-wise, CSG, CGC. I think wheels are in motion to where like it won't be undone. I could be wrong there, but to me, this one feels more real. This one feels less like, oh, LOL, happy April Fools. This one feels like it's going to stick. So yeah, it is what it is. We'll see what happens. But 20 years from now, you can only wonder. CGC could be defunct, it could be gone, or it could be bigger than it ever would have been had they stayed the way they were. We'll never know. We'll know only the one timeline we exist in. We'll only know what happens. So in 20 years, in 2 years, in 20 years, in 50 years, it will be obvious. State today, everyone make your guess today in chat. Make your guess today. Where will CGC be in 20 years? Will it be gone? Will it be improved from had it continued on its, like in 20 years, it will be obvious. Everything's obvious with hindsight. So every Monday morning quarterback in 2, 5, 10, 20 years will say how obvious it was that this was going to be the thing that killed CGC, or how obvious it was that this was going to be the thing that saved CGC. If you had to ask me, what will the gem rate numbers, shout out gem rate, let me pull up gem rate. What will the gem rate numbers look like in a year, in 2 years, and 5 years? Will they be higher or lower? Will CGC be grading more cards or less? If I had to guess, having thought about it more, having let it set, they're giving out more big numbers. I think it might be as simple as that. Lots of rocky turbulence, lot of turbulence going on, a lot of rocky terrain to get through in the short interim, but more big numbers. It might be as simple as that. This might have been the best decision based on that alone. When I submit, I will get six times as many double-digit numbers as I had prior. I like that. People like double-digit numbers. I'm a little bit nervous about like losing the moonshot perfect black label equivalent, and I'm a little nervous about like having halves still. I wish those went away. But overall, like 6 times as many double-digit numbers. That's nice. That gives me a nice warm feeling. Let me continue on. See where chat's going. Why make your own mistakes when others will make them for you? PSA learns from others' mistakes. PSA's got to be loving it because like BGS and CGC are really trying things to shake things up, and BGS like took a step, got absolutely lambasted for it, and then they like took a step back in line. CGC is just like they saw BGS step their toe over the line and just get like demolished for it. CGC, you got to give them credit. They did like a full standing leap way over the line. They stuck themselves way out there. And let's see what happens. Lots of rabbles, lots of live streams today, lots of videos, lots of reactions. I'm even doing a reaction. I don't do like hot take, quick reaction. I want to talk about the vault tomorrow. I want to talk about this tomorrow. Please let me talk about this live tomorrow. Let this live tonight. It is actually fun. It's a fun conversation. But I mainly am doing this so that I can talk about that tomorrow and not have to talk about CGC all day. So people value number on plastic too much. Absolutely, in my opinion. Peak That Truth says, upgrading all 9.5s automatically to 10s is such a cash grab. They don't want to pay the labor to regrade, so they just added the pay-to-play metric. It resets their values again. Desperation. They're not changing the grades. They're changing a number. The grade is gem mint. If you look at it from that perspective, which I had an epiphany at some point today, midday, probably one of the phone calls, one of the Discord calls. I don't want to name people, but you know who you are, I guess. And all this is subject to like the scale might actually fundamentally change. Maybe the graders were retrained. I don't know. This is all on the presumption that what I've said, this is all on the presumption that everything will remain roughly equal. There will have to be a little bit of changing because if perfect 10s are gone, they absorb down into the CGC 10. If CGC 9.5s don't move, they just change into gem mint 10s. So same grade, same gem mint grade, just a 10 instead of a 9.5, which according to CGC makes number goes up, price goes up, which is hilarious, but probably true, sadly. So now there's a void. So CGC 9s stay 9s, 8.5 stay 8.5s. Well, where do the new 9.5s come from? Presumably, and as Matt Quinn said, I believe, quad 9 pluses from CGC step up into a 9.5. And presumably then, quad 8.5 pluses step up into a 9, and quad 7.5 pluses step up into an 8. So there's like a slight inflation. There's a slight shift. They're turning, perfect's gone, so perfect shrinks down. 10 stays where it is, just absorbs perfect 10. And then presumably, like I don't know Will some amount of prior Gem Mint 9.5s, had they been freshly graded, now be pristine 10s? Or will every single one be in that new Gem Mint 10 grade? Because some amount of 9s are slipping up into 9.5s, we've been told. So will a quad 9.5 plus plus go into a new pristine 10? These are the kinds of intricacies that I don't know if they've hashed all those out. Honestly, the real answer is probably that none of these grading companies are that accurate to actually suss out like those minute of differences. That's why half grades are so silly in many respects. That's why subgrades are so silly in many respects. Shout out to the multi-year-old video that PFM made, Pokemon Flying Master from E4, resolving power. All these companies are claiming through their grading scales to have resolving powers far in excess of what they're actually able to do and reproduce, in my opinion. So this card is a Gem Mint card. I can pay $5. I don't have to. I have to because people are crazy and they need the label to keep them warm at night and tell them like warm, fuzzy, rainbow, cool, nice feelings. This is a Gem Mint 10. As of July 12th, this will be a 10. Whether I pay or not, this is a Gem Mint grade, which in CGC mentioned their pop report will change. I'm going to actually reach out, and I don't know if Pokemetrics is watching. I don't know if Pokedata, TCG Fish. I don't know what all these companies are doing. I hope they do a snapshot. I'm going to have to reach out to Pokemetrics actually. But I'm very interested. Pichu Collector. I hope he preserves what has been done today, because CGC actually pulled a lot of pop reports and they're going to update all the 9.5s, whether you send them in or not. From what I understand, in the pop report will be slotted under 10s now, Gem Mint 10s. The grade is not changing, just the number. A lot of people equate the grade with the number, and it kind of makes sense. But like the words are the same. It's so crazy how much people get hung up on like the label needs to say the right thing for me. But if you're a Gem Mint collector, start buying the new Gem Mint 10s. But all your CGC 9.5s, cover the labels. Someone needs to make a case that just covers the label. I think people already do. One thing I've seen that's hilarious, people make cases that cover the card and only show the label. I'm proposing cover the label. I don't give a crap. That's a cool card. Hey, that's the Pikachu that was released from the Pokemon Center in that promotion in 2020 holiday season. That's a cool card. Oh, look at the front, look at the back. That's pretty clean. I don't care. I don't care what the label says. Like whether it says 9.5 Gem Mint or 10 Gem Mint, that's like people's egos, people's fragility in their egos, that they need everything to tell them this is a perfect card. You're perfect. You're wonderful. This is a 10 as of their new grading scale. You don't need to pay them $5 if you don't want to. I'm going to. The market needs that. It's crazy. I didn't like hearing him say it. I didn't like hearing a grading company acknowledge the secondary market prices and hearing a grading company acknowledge that number goes up, price goes up. But it's true and it's sad. It just is what it is. Mind blowing. So I'm going to have to pay $5 because you guys are making me. You guys not being you individual people, men and women, people, not just guys. It is the market. It is you guys, the market, is making me. It's making me pay $5. So it's not like call it a cash grab, call it whatever you want. That whole rant of me saying cash grab, I wake up every morning, how am I going to grab cash today? It is what it is. Let me continue on. I got stuck there for a while, but I understand where you're coming from, Colt, for sure. But it feels overly crazy just because the market's overly crazy for what's said on the label and not worrying about like what the card is. CGC just needed a perfect 10 label and lower the price. They're automatically back in the mix. If they did perfect 10, all the 9.5s round up to the higher grade. So all 9.5s are 10s, all 8.5s are 9s. It would have been a glorious morning. A lot of people would have been like, oh, they grade too easy, blah, blah, blah. Go back to the data, though. If they had done that, they still would have only graded 4.5% perfect 10s. They still would have only graded, I guess I don't know if 10s would have gone up. Maybe not make Yeah, that probably would have been better. Make the pristines and perfects all be 1, so 4.5% 10s, perfect 10s, and then make 20% 10s, and then these would be absorbed with these, so it would be like 51% would be 9s. So half the cards graded would be 9s, approximately. Like PSA's grading. If you look at PSA, actually, let me go back to PSA. If you look at PSA over the past, let me get rid of the highlighted comment. PSA over the past year has graded 3.8. Oh, you can't see it. Let me make it so you can see it. So PSA over the past year has graded 3.8 million cards, Pokemon cards. 1.78 of them, almost half. Like, that would be like 48% are Gem Mint 10s. Over the past 5 weeks, actually over half. Over the past 5 weeks, over half of all Pokemon cards graded at PSA were a 10. So if CGC were to make this drastic change, if CGC were to go where literally the 10s became perfect 10s, all of them, all the 9.5s became the new 10s, and then every half grade got absorbed up, rounded up, mathematically, sound, you would have CGC grading harder than PSA still. People would have came out, oh, what a joke CGC is. Oh, they're grading so easy, too easy. But still would have been harder than PSA overall. And I'm not saying, like, don't take me saying CGC grades harder to say that every CGC 9.5 Gem Mint is guaranteed to get a PSA 10, because it's not the case. Every PSA 10 is not guaranteed to get a PSA 10. Every Black Label 10 is not guaranteed to get a BGS 10 even. These grading card companies are subject to plus or minus variation, human error, blah, blah, blah. That would have been the perfect thing to wake up to this morning. It would have been crazy. People would have gone nuts. I probably still would have been live tonight. But if they had just done that, man, that would have been glorious. Numbers would have gotten bigger. Halves would have been gone. Hire me, CGC. Let's slide into my DMs. Let's figure out how we can make this work. I'll delete this live. I'll delete the VOD. It was your idea all along. Let's make that happen. All pristines are now perfect. Maybe make perfects double perfect, just to please, like, whatever. Your extra special double perfect. Put on a nice, like the MBA Mike Baker authentication, double perfect, triple perfect 10. And then, yeah, round up every other card. That would be glorious. Let's continue on. I feel like PSA's half grades are used a lot more frequently with sports cards grading specifically. I've not dove into that data, so that could be absolutely true. The numbers that I'm showing you on Pokemetrics are Pokemon alone. So that's interesting. I've not thought about that. I was not aware of that. So interesting to hear that. If I spent money for CGC 10s, I would be livid right now. Such a slap in the face. Yeah, I mean, we don't know for sure, but if you bought a pristine 10, you still have a pristine 10. 9.5s will not be pristine 10s. They will be distinctly different. 9.5s will be Gem Mint 10s. And pristine 10s will still be pristine 10s, as far as I understand. So there's still that distinguishing thing. I think, like, if PSA were to come out with a premium 10, that would devalue all the other 10s, millions of 10s out there. That would be a bad call, in my opinion. CGC's always had it, so maybe it's not a huge deal that they continue to have it. I hate that they lost, like, the branding of that perfect moonshot 10. I'm 50 minutes behind chat. 9.5 is still, 9.5 is the same, Gem Mint. Oh, the new 9.5. So new 9.5 is Mint Plus, which is so silly. Get rid of the half grades. Come on, please. You have CGC, you have 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it is. Please get rid of the half grades. They already had some on their desk in front of them. No one wants them. No one wants them. Get rid of them. Round them all up. Round them all down. I don't care. Just get rid of them. The 9.5 is already rounding up, so just round them all up for consistency. If the 9.5 doesn't fall into like a normal distribution around 8.5 and 9 as well, that's just going to be so silly. It's going to be so annoying from like just a mathematical, statistical perspective. Right now, you have a nice normal distribution around like a CGC 9. And if that falls off, if they infrequently use their 9.5 grade as PSA infrequently uses their 8.5 grade, that will be so annoying. So annoying. Oh no, I'm about to jump. Oh, I just jumped to the bottom. Come on. Let me. Nice thing about using the chat highlights is that I keep my spot. I just lost 20 minutes worth of comments though, so I'm gonna try to go faster. I lost 20 minutes of chat. I'm sorry. How will this affect the market? Like I said earlier, I think gem mints will go up. It's the same card, but the number's going to be bigger, so the price is going to go up. Will the pristine 10s go down some? I honestly think they will. Like a Charizard, I sold out because people are going to get the new 10s. I sold out at 130 of my Celebrations Charizards, and 10s are 200. I think 10s might come down some. Pristine 10s, gem mint 10s will come up from 130 to maybe 150. They'll be fairly tight. Maybe the pristine 10 will have to go up. I don't know. I mean, it won't have to, but maybe it will. I don't know. Yeah, contact customer support if you have a sub in. I specifically reached out to them and I said, like, send me my cards back as soon as possible. They're grading cards in like 2 or 3 days right now. I'm like, grade them, send them. I want them. Give me those perfect Nagaba Umbreons, especially. But so yeah, they're going to be like inundated with emails probably, or maybe not, because not tons of people were submitting to them. But email CGC, tell them if you want. If it's too far in the process, I had an order shipped today. So that one was stuck under the old labels regardless. I got no perfect 10, so if I could go back, if I could say like, hey, keep them, give me the new labels, because I got no perfect 10s, I would, but I can't, unfortunately. I should have been cheeky in my email saying like, hey, if there's any perfect 10s, grade them, send them all back. If there's not, then hold off for the new label. That's what I should have said. Yeah, you don't need a paid membership to submit cards now. With the paid membership, you'll still get the discounts though. All this negativity about the new label, like, I don't know. I don't understand it. I didn't understand the negativity about the old label. I don't understand it about the new label. It is what it is, though. Appreciate you, Amplitude 121, watching in 40 likes. Come on, guys. Looks like you got a few more because there's 53 now. Oh, Brad G, always. Time to see if the market has a brain. Newsflash, it doesn't. The numbers went up, so the prices will go up. Crazy. Yeah, how many of those 469,000 CGC 9.5s are going back for reholdering? If I had to guess like a real honest true guess, less than 100,000. Maybe 100,000. I would be shocked. Like, I think a lot of people underestimate the amount of consumers out there that literally buy a card, never look again at the price, never. A lot of these go on Whatnot, a lot of these go on eBay, a lot of these go on mystery boxes bought by parents, grandparents for their grandkids, kids. A lot of these just get consumed. I would be shocked if any. I hope they come out with the data. I hope in September they report to us how many 9.5s were changed to 10s. I think it would be 5 digits. I don't think it would be 100,000. I think it would be less than like 15% of them. I could be way off base. I could be way off. But that's my like just gut instinct guess. I'd be interested to hear other people's guesses. What percent, either what percent or what raw amount of the CGC 9.5s will go in? I would say less than 100,000. Less than 100,000, that would be like 18% or something. Yeah, Tennis Wolf says a quarter of those have already been cracked. So that's a fair point. That's a very true point, that a lot of those don't even exist anymore as CGC 9.5s. So Grammar Collects guesses 20% as well. Garen says, this morning, Dan, was fun, Dan. More fun, Dan. In Grammar Collects, I think I got to that point on my own, but good reminder, logic does not always apply to market like this. Psychology, that's how numbers work. Bigger, better. Yeah. Bigger number, more money. This is elementary, folks. For hours, I forgot. For hours this morning, I forgot that. 6 times my cards. No more Moonshot, no more Perfect 10. But 6 times the number of cards I submit will have 2 numbers. Not 1 after the decimal. 2 numbers before the decimal. 1, 0. That's what people want. But probably know about the Illustrator. Everyone will know it was a 9.5. It doesn't matter though. Every new Gem Mint 10 into eternity will have been former a 9.5 had it been graded prior. Logan Paul's Illustrator, that's a 10, was a 9, maybe a handful of times too. So as a math degree holder, I can confirm big numbies are better. Pop-Tart 916, I believe, I'm not 100% sure, I believe the Pop Report will be transitioning all Gem Mint cards to the new Gem Mint 10 grade. So the words are not changing. Gem Mint cards are Gem Mint cards. Gem Mint cards are just now 10s. They used to be 9.5s, now they're 10s. That's all that's changing. The thing is, it's not even an upgrade. It's not even an upgrade from a 9 to a 10. Everyone's saying an upgrade from a 9 to a 10. Numbers getting bigger, but it's still Gem Mint. It's the same grade. Crazy. How does Nick feel regarding his Squirtle? I think he's live on eBay right now, probably, so I'm not sure. Amplitude says, new label looks like Dan's business card / logo. Hell, Dan's logo looks better. Hey, thanks, Amplitude. That was very nice. Will my CGC 1 still be a 1? Your 1's probably now a 1.5, maybe a 1.25 or so. OSP, not a fan of the CGC news. He was talking about it on eBay Live. I talked to him very briefly. A couple different group chats I was in, text messaging and Instagram DMs. I actually didn't work this afternoon. I took the afternoon off. I was hanging out with the kids and my parents' dogs, watching them for a little bit. But thankfully the kids were playing nice. They were playing well because I was just on Discord, on Instagram, DMs, phone calls, Discord call. Like, I did not do anything. I wasn't intending to do anything productive this afternoon, but I really was even less productive. Damn, Onyx 10, that sounds badass. The 9.5 to 10s are going to raise pop rates through the roof. No, like nowhere near what PSA is. We looked at the data. So here's the data. Every 9.5 becoming a 10, it does 5x. It 5x is the number of 10s. Still less than half is often getting a little bit more than half. Still a little bit more than half. Only a little bit more than half the time PSA is giving 10s. CGC will be giving 10s 20% of the time. Gem Mint 10s, PSA is giving them 42% of the time overall. That's not me making up numbers. That's the actual data. That's all the data. So yeah, they're gonna go up, but still lower than CGC and than PSA. At the end of the day, Gem Mints are still Gem Mint. It's just the number's different. The name's not different. The number's different. Yeah, I'm not in this position, but if I had a perfect 10 Moonbryon, if I had a perfect 10, one of these Japanese cards that are going nuts, I would probably sell. I'm not like holding it long-term investment. I don't think people will care in 20 years that you have a Pop 1 perfect 10 from the first 2 years of a company that's now in year 30. But maybe it's the true first edition, the first of the first appearance label of CGC. Ugh, God, I don't freaking know. That's too much for me. There was a lot of negative feedback on IG, but most of those people only had PSA slabs on their page anyway, so it's not like they were paying CGC anything. Yeah, I was in there. I was chirping a little bit during a live, trying to get them to address certain things and talk about certain things. I had some comments when they started talking about secondary market value that rubbed me the wrong way personally. But again, PSA is owned by a company that owns Golden. There's so much of that goes on in these unregulated markets. It's not amazing. One person doing it, two wrongs don't make a right, all that, blah, blah, blah. But, if you're selling, send it in, bigger number, sell it for more money. It's dumb, but do it. If it's a card that's I sold some shadowless. I DM'd some people. I actually posted it in some discords, but I sold a CGC 9.5 shadowless Machop for $23. They're gonna buy it. They paid shipping and they paid tax, not shipping. I ship for free, but they paid tax on it, and then they're gonna pay $5 shipping both ways to grade it as a CGC 10 now, still gem mint. PSA 10 sell for like 40. Where's the margin? Where's the money? What's the play there? Maybe they're a collector. Maybe they're just doing it for a uniform and in a collection. Which, if you're a consumer, at the end of the day, like if that 10 makes you warm and fuzzy and cozy and you need it, and it's worth $5, like pay it. Whatever. Who cares? But if I were a true collector and if I was just great, like I'm collecting the cards, not the labels. I would be fine having Gem Mint 9.5s and Gem Mint 10s. If I had 1,000 Gem Mint 9.5s in my inventory, or in my collection, not inventory, I would not pay CGC $5,000 to make the numbers bigger. Someday when I went to sell them, if I knew that someday I would, if I was the truest true collector, I'm going to be buried with these cards, I would not increase the number. But knowing who I am, knowing that I'm going to sell it all someday, yeah, absolutely. You pay the $5, you get more money. If it's a $20 9.5 and it's a $30 10, then you don't. It's all money. It's all numbers. Run the numbers. I'm just happy the Swirl Illustrator's a 10 now. Absolutely. Nice round numbers. There's no rum in the Coke. I'm only 2 weeks in a day removed from my surgery. No rum in the Coke. Just Coca-Cola, I promise. One thing from a business perspective too, part of my plan, I've talked about it. My plan for 2023 is to increase my turnover. One thing that I am mad at myself for, I am mad that I have over 2,000 CGC slabs. A lot of them are bulk ones that are just going in like mystery lots, whatever. They're going to move either way. But moving ahead, a big part of my plan is to have higher turnover. And if and when CGC decides to change their scale, which I hope they don't. Look, maybe remove half grades. Do what I said earlier. New Perfect 10 is back. Remove half grades. One more shot, CGC. 1 year from now, 2 years from now, one last shot. Let's give it one last shot. And just throw everyone for a loop and do what I said. Implement, round everything up. CGC 10 pristine and perfect are now perfect. Perfects are double perfect. You're welcome for that idea. But then please leave it alone after that. Like, get to where you're going to be and then just sit there. Half grades, please get rid of them. One more change a year from now, 2 years from now. Maybe we can do it before July 12th, but probably not. But yeah, as a business, that is important to me. I have a couple thousand slabs. Some went up in value. Some are going to go up in value because the market's the market. But a lot of them are going to become slightly more illiquid, slightly harder to move unless I pay $5 to unlock that new label. And that's frustrating. That's frustrating as a business. And given that they've done a couple major changes in a 3-year span, what's to say they won't do it again? They've proven that they're willing to make major changes, which good or bad, whatever, it is what it is. Am I going to be confronted with this again in a year or 2 years? I don't know. And that's kind of frustrating. And that's relevant to a business for sure. These labels look great. People are capping if they think that's a bad label. The whole label thing was dumb. I think CGC was crazy to cave to the market pressure. Anytime you change something like that, half the people will like it, half the people will hate it. A lot of the loudest people will be the people who hate it. But overall, like, I don't care about the label. I would lean slightly towards the new one, to be honest, but I just really don't care that much. What are the chances that CGC pulls a BGS move and pump fakes the grading scale change? Tomorrow we wake up to find out that perfect 10s are still a thing. That would be crazy. I'm going to make sure I ship my orders immediately in the morning. No returns, all sales final. Enjoy your CGC 9.5 gem mints. But I don't think they're going to go back. It's just a gut feel. I have no insider info, anything like that. I would be shocked. Maybe that's because I'm closer to it. I wasn't as close to the BGS decision. I wasn't as invested in it. I don't have thousands of BGS slabs, so I'm more invested in this one. It feels more real to me, though, is what I'll say. Dan, tell me what to do. Sell, buy, do everything, go crazy. I don't know. Yeah, as a collector though, how would it feel to get labels that don't match what you've been collecting for 3 years now? I think this is at least the second time where CGC has done something that has definitely been very strongly, arguably, a detriment to their early adopters. So multiple times now, CGC has taken their early adopters and said, we're changing things. You can pay us money to conform to the new things, but like, yeah, that's what you get for being with us early. You tend to like to go the other way. You tend to like to reward them, but it's not a great feeling as a business. I'm definitely feeling some of that. I was on more of that this morning, but they'll alienate some people. Will they gain more? Is it short-term pain for long-term gain? Maybe. And again, they're working with the information they have. They have more information. They've done all these studies, whatever. If I had to make a guess either way, and we'll never know, we're only in this universe, I think CGC will be further ahead in 10 years with this decision. I think they would be even further ahead in the alternate universe where they round everything up and they keep the perfect and they have double perfects, like I said. But I think that's the winning ticket. No half grades, round everything up. Perfects are now double perfects. That's being facetious. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Do all that. I think that would be better. That's actually something that I thought was happening. I very, very quickly, for anyone who was in the live chat this morning, I said, hey, anecdotally, I haven't gotten perfect grades for my last couple subs. I looked at Pokedata. Pokemetrics, sorry, I'm mixing up websites. So CGC has been awarding this week. This week, they have been awarding perfect 10 grades. So it is not the case that people were not getting perfect 10s. They awarded 690 perfect 10s in this past week. Are half grades confirmed? Yes, they are. They're confirmed on the live, on Facebook groups. They're confirmed all over the place. Do you exclusively use CGC or some BGS and PSA too? 2 Fridays ago, yeah, not this Friday, but the Friday prior, I believe, I submitted 100+ cards to each of the 3 grading companies. 3 major, PSA, BGS, CGC. So I use them all. I think that there are plays. I think there's business to be done with all of them. I like, there are pros and cons to each. CGC is fast, slightly cheaper. But yeah, now they give more they give more big numbers. So the math has changed behind it a little bit, but yeah, so, sorry Earth on all this for sure. It's a gamble assuming the 10 is going to go for more. They're in for a rude awakening if the market disagrees with CGC 10s now. CGC 10s are significantly harder to achieve, and they're earning less money. Let me show you. Let me show you a sneak peek at the one bit of data. No one specifically called for it. I've asked a couple times, but so here's the data. It's a lot of numbers all at once. If you're in the paywall, you've seen it before. But so here's the raw data. Here's the raw data on which one is this? This is the Celebrations Charizard. So bear with me. PSA is here. So PSA grades Celebrations Charizards at a 66% 10 rate. 31% get 9s, 2.48% get 8s. This might be a video Monday. I might do a full-fledged video. I'll probably tidy this up more. CGC, 0.66% of Celebrations Charizards get perfect 10s. 0.6% get black label 10s. On down. So Gem Mint 9.5 at BGS is 56%. Gem Mint 9.5 at CGC is 41%. But look at how much easier CGC or PSA grades Celebrations. So the 10 PSA 10 Celebrations Charizard sells for $220. And the CGC 10, even though the CGC 10 is only graded about 6% of the time, 90% less, it's 10 times harder to get, depending on how you want to say it. It's 10 times harder to get. It sells for the same amount of money. A perfect 10 sold for $1,300. A black label 10 sold for $4,700. I think there's only 7 of those. Absolutely crazy. But if you do the math, so what this is, EV adjusted, expected value adjusted. I know, like, there's a prejudice, there's a bias between what actually gets submitted for graded. Not every card that comes from a pack. This is not your EV on pack pulling a Celebrations Charizard. This is one that you decide that the markets have decided to grade. So $220 times 66% plus $98 times 31%. Your EV of submitting a Charizard to PSA is functionally $176. Your EV of submitting to CGC, and this is not factoring in the grading cost. This is not factoring in the turnaround times. This is just raw numbers. So $1,300, you have a 0.66% chance. So basically, you just do a sum product. You do a sum product of 1,300 times 0.66 plus 220 times 5.84 plus 130 times 41.6. Your EV of submitting a Celebrations Charizard to CGC is only 121. But the thing is, it turns quicker. So if you can take a $70, $80 card, and if you're good at pre-grading, you can increase these EVs by hitting disproportionately higher than the average market has. But this is just the average market, what they've submitted and what they've gotten. At BGS, it's 149. Let me know in chat. Do you think under the new grading scale, does the EV go up or down? Because I ran the numbers. So what I did to run the numbers, I have it hidden right here. I'll unhide it in a second. I have it hidden right here. So what I did to calculate the adjusted expected value for new CGC is I took this plus this and I multiplied it by the pristine 10, because that's going to be the new perfect's gone. So you have to take away the odds at this. That's gone. This is now multiplying by both of these, and then this continues to multiply by this. This continues to multiply by this. So let me unveil it. If prices were to stay the same, which they likely won't because bigger number, bigger money, the EV goes down to 115. But if the market now suddenly, say the market devalues, so this one isn't factoring, you'll see that the adjusted EV of this one doesn't change. So when I change that, it doesn't change. Let me just leave that alone. But if the market decides that this new 10 now goes to 200 and this 9.5 goes to 150. Let's see what the EV changes from 115. So 200 and 150, the EV goes up. So the EV goes up. Even though the 10 went down and the 9 went up by the same amount, the 9.5, sorry, the 9.5 happens 8 times as often as the current 10 does. So even though the price moves were the same amount in opposite directions, the 9.5 happens 8 times as frequently. So it has a more drastic effect on the EV. You can put your, this is a paywall exclusive. This is a spreadsheet that everyone in the paywall has access to. You can plug and play your own numbers in here. But say you think the price will actually go up. Let's go back to what we had. So right now it's one, let me just copy and paste this so we have it. Let me copy and paste this so we have it. The 115 is what we have. Let me increase it. Let me bold it. So this is static prices. Say somehow you think the pristine 10 price will go up to 250 and you think this will go up to 180. Well, now you can calculate your new EV. The EV is going to skyrocket from 115 to 137. Is that actually fair? Is that realistic? I don't know. But you can plug and play your own numbers. It's all just math at the end of the day. You need to put in your own presuppositions. You need to put in your own theories and estimates. But it's very, very interesting. It's very, very interesting to do the math and run the numbers, because at the end of the day, I'm a business, and if they can make me more money under this new scale, I like the change. If they make me less money under this new scale, I don't like the change. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. They made this business decision, cash grab, whatever you want to call it. They think it's going to make them more money in the long term. Maybe short-term pain for long-term gain. But at the end of the day, they're a business. They're making a decision to make them more money. That's what they do. Let me continue on. I probably lost a lot of people. I don't know if I gained or lost people with that spreadsheet, but that's my brain. That's where I'm at. That's Robot Dan coming through, Excel Dan coming through. Let me try to catch up the chat. Kene says CGC will remain third place. It's firmly second place in Pokemon at least, but sports, Magic, everything else considered, I don't really know overall. Um, I would be shocked if they retract it all, but it would be crazy. Appreciate you, Hunter. Member for 5 months. It would be we joked about it in Discord. If PSA were to offer, hey, we'll take all your blue label slabs and we'll grade them for a discount into PSA slabs. That would be like a jab, like kicking them while they're down. That would be funny. I don't think they will, but if I were PSA, I would come out with a promotion saying like, hey, the Nationals coming up next month. Submit to get your decades long consistent grading scale. That's debatable. A lot of people have their own theories on 2 cert, 4 cert, 6 cert, 8 cert, but come sub now, $13 a card, get that same label that you've known and loved for the past 30 years or however long it is, and all that consistency and blah blah blah, kind of jabbing at them. If I were a PSA, I would consider that marketing move. It would be pretty funny. And that's said by someone who I do not have loyalty. I have loyalty to my business. I do not have loyalty to PSA or CGC or BGS. At the end of the day, it's like I utilize all three of them because they all have pros. They all have some pros that I can leverage. People really sleeping on how grading sports cards is a huge deal. This is a change that CGC made a year ago or several months ago at least. It's kind of crazy that CGC didn't do it then as well. It'll be interesting. Like the issue is it's going to take several months to a year or more to have the data flush itself out and understand whether or not the scales have changed. And people will have their theories. People will have their theories on, oh, I got one sub, my anecdotal small data point, extending it out. They're grading way harder. They're grading way easier. They're doing this. They're doing that. It's going to be a wild ride like it always is in this market. And part of this, CGC is actually grading tons of other things now, not just Pokemon, not just MetaZoo, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Flesh and Blood, Weiss. They're grading like tons more things. They're adding tons of new TCGs and other things on July 12th. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Otherwise says there's such a thing as too easy to grade. They're still not grading as easy as PSA. So people, I said it years ago, a year ago at least. If a company were to come out when CGC did and copied PSA scale exactly, literally if you pulled up Pokemetrics and CGC, PSA, they had the same 10 rates, 9 rates, 8 rates, everything, people would say CGC graded too easy. It would be hilarious, but that's exactly what would happen. I know it. Amplitude remembers the Netflix queue. Popular movies would be 6 to 7 weeks out. Yeah. I love how they were like, we're trying to make your cards more valuable. Not even just that. They said like they will be more valuable. It's common sense. I forget the exact wording, but interesting. Yeah, that $672,000 illustrator that was pointed out as being worth easily $1 million or however they worded it. If you think about it, CGC made the exact same change that BGS was going to make 2 months ago, but they're sticking with it. Very, very similar. Very, very similar for sure. Whoever's selling that first edition Neo Lugia at 9.5 has some incredible timing as it ends tomorrow. Yeah, there's a Snap Gyarados at Heritage, CGC 9.5. There's a No Rarity Charizard 9.5 at Heritage. I'm not bidding on those, so I'm spilling the plays. Sorry if you're bidding on them. But yeah, it's obvious plays, obvious. People are going to be looking at auctions live of high dollar, big dollar 9.5s that will still be gem mint, but they'll say 10, so they'll go up in value. It's crazy. CGC's not changing their scale with this. Like every company has had, BGS is giving more black labels. PSA is harder on giving 10s. PSA is so many things over the years, so much swinging on easier, harder, whatever. But CGC's just changing the number. It's still gem mint. Gem mint is gem mint. It's just a 10 now instead of a 9.5. It's just crazy. Hobby is definitely South Park Rabble right now. If you crack, I don't have the money to do it, but if you bought 100 of every company's every grade and cracked them all out and sent them all back to every company 100 times each, it would be laughable. It would be, you would have to laugh so you didn't cry on the reproducibility of these grades, in my opinion. I'm gonna try to keep Red Light Dan at bay. I'm gonna try to speed up through chat. Did I say lambasted? I might have said that. Yeah, please. How pissed is Dan gonna be when people still want to talk about CGC tomorrow during his live? I might just have to do like a keyword, ban the word CGC. Like, please don't come into my live tomorrow. Please, any questions? I'm trying to hit them all. I skipped 20 minutes of chat. Leave your questions. I want to take them all tonight. I'll go live till 1 if we have to. I don't want to talk about CGC tomorrow. I want to talk about the eBay Vault consignment if anyone has questions on that. It doesn't need to be a crazy long live tomorrow if people don't want it to be. I might actually just like purchase a couple cards from the eBay Vault. I might show what it looks like on the back end a little bit. But yeah, I'm going live tonight to talk about this and get it out of my system, our systems, our collective systems. Brad G. Card says, at the end of the day, Dan's going to get sick about talking about CGC eventually. Yeah, CGC blue labels are now first edition, first appearance. You've made several references to timelines in the multiverse. What have you discovered? Unfortunately, nothing. Dennis Wolf says, multiply by $5 how many current CGC 9.5s there are and how much of a cash grab is that? Assuming a good chunk gets sub back. As we said, there was 469,000. I would think less than 100,000 would get sub back. $500,000 to us, that's a lot of money. It sounds like a ton of money. $500,000 is not like that much money in the grand scheme of CGC wanting to be here for decades and decades. Like, you can absolutely make logical arguments that CGC might have done damage to their core collector base and people that wanted the consistency between video game label and comic book label and card label. All fair. But to say that CGC is all doing this to potentially get $500,000 to $1 million at the risk of like all their future and all that, that feels crazy to like. I don't remotely think it's that. Does anyone know if an 8.5 also upgrades to a 9? Presumably, an 8.5 quad plus would upgrade to a 9 per the live today. That would have been an uncomfortable live to be in. I'm sweating slightly because it's fairly warm in my office and my fan isn't on high enough and getting a little riled up. So I could see them sweating there. Give me back blue labels and a revamped pristine, and I'm happy to be honest. Amplitude has personally cracked at least 100. Yeah, no one wants to admit PSA grade's the easiest. They just love the value that comes along with a PSA 10. People like 10s. People like specifically people like PSA 10s because they are perfect. There's nothing higher. Like, obviously that's being a bit flippant about it. That's being a bit flippant about saying like a PSA 10 is a perfect card. Logan Paul said it. Logan Paul said it in his live stream. He said this is a perfect 10 of 10 grade. There's none higher. There's no grade higher at PSA. CGC doesn't have that though. All these Gem Mint 10s will be inferior. They will be the silver medal to the pristine 10. Which is then maybe they'll still be the bronze medal. They have that interesting dynamic where if you want the truest of the true elite chase, you've got to go back to an obsolete label that you can't achieve anymore. That might have an everlasting negative effect. you can't get the perfects anymore. And maybe that will be great for perfect investors. And I'm not advocating for that, but it's not my game at all. But that might be like a stain on, I don't want second place. First place is the PSA 10. First place at Beckett, you can still get it. You can get it today. Let me actually show you. I did show you for a second. But another, I don't want to show the other card. The other card will remain paywall exclusive. So if you're in the paywall, go to the spreadsheet from what I did in July of 2022. Not only did I do the PSA 10 Celebrations Charizard, I did another card. And you can see how high the BGS EV is due to how much the BGS 10 Black Label price, at the rate they give Black Labels for that card, drags up the EV to astronomical numbers. Crazy out here. But we can't spill too much sauce on a YouTube live. We got to pump the Pokenomics paywall. Check my link tree below. It's in there. People just want easy 10s for sure. But if CGC 10 gave out as many 10s as PSA, people would say they're too easy. But when PSA does it, it's fine. It's funny. Oh no, I'm at 1108 and I just skipped down to the bottom. I'm gonna try to turbo mode to the bottom. Let's see what we can do. Will there be a premium for perfect 10s? Oh yeah, I would imagine to some extent you can't get them anymore. Like, I'm not the guy paying that premium, but if I have one, I'm gonna try to sell it for a premium. I have some perfect 10 Metazoo cards on eBay. Buy them now. You'll never be able to get them again. Dan is hot. I'm here for it. People are blowing up over nothing. If you're doing this for money, you'll still use CGC. There's absolutely still plays. There's still plays with sub 2 week turnaround. Lord Pokesmoke says, my only negativity on the new label is that it looks so much like all the other fly-by-night grading companies from last year, not distinguishable anymore. It will be distinguishable, though, because in 5 years, CGC will probably be around and those companies won't be. I don't know. I don't know. I was gonna add more there, but I don't have much else to add there. Katie Lowen is calling it now. PSA 10s are about to go down 10% as all these CGC 10s are introduced. I wouldn't think so, but yeah, who knows? I mean, more 10s being out there, more double-digit numbers, some amount of people might stray. Some amount of people are going to love the new label. Like, some people hate it. Some people are going to love it. Some people that absolutely hate CGC won't believe it, but some people love this change, and we are like a small subset of very loud people who love the rabble, and there are going to be collectors who stray from PSA over this. Like, oh man, all I ever wanted was an easier 10. All I ever wanted was that consistency, that nice label, that beautiful, sleek, professional looking label. Some people are going to love it. The focus groups apparently loved it disproportionately to the old label. Again, they have more information than we do. So we'll see where it all goes. So was your outrage this morning Collector Dan showing through instead of cash grabbing Dan? I wasn't thinking straight. Logic was hard to find. I forgot that people like big numbers. I'm a little disappointed in myself. I wasn't flying off the handle. I wasn't going crazy by any means, I don't think. But I was getting a little heated, and I think I just forgot that like 6 times as many of my cards will be 10s now. Math is math. I don't know what I was saying at the time, but I like that. Math is math. I've heard this from other people. There's perfect 10s that sell for lower than PSA 10s. No chance PSA 10s lose value. I sell perfect 10s for a solid premium over PSA 10s? I don't know. Probably super niche if I had to guess. Probably super niche auctions that are going for sub PSA 10, but I've not seen it. If I had to guess, it's probably non-Pokemon, but I'm not sure. Dan on a call with everyone and didn't call me, forever the 500th option. I was in a public Discord. There was nothing stopping anyone from joining. I didn't announce my presence, though. If you want announced presence, if you want regularly scheduled voice chats with me, the paywall's there. Link in the description in the link tree below. Pokenomics Patreon. Let's keep getting Dan riled up. No one sees the grade name, everyone sees the grade number. Yeah, very fair. I just got here. What's the plan? Turn your 9.5s into 10s, sell them for more money, grade more big numbers, make more money. That's the plan distilled down. 2 hours of live, and that's all I had to say. That's the plan. Jake had an office hour today from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern time. If you were in the paywall, you would know what Jake's take is. I don't go into his office hours. He generally doesn't go into mine. So I've not talked at much length with Jake about what his thoughts are. But yeah, he shared some. I don't know if he'll be doing any live streams or anything, but yeah, he shared some with a handful of people today in his office hour, I'm sure. It's not surprising someone in chat asked the secondary market question. I'm surprised the lady running the lady facilitating it, where she was asking questions from the chat, I'm surprised she asked it. And then her asking it, I'm surprised they didn't pivot away. I'm surprised they like bit into it as they did. Had I been in that live stream, had I been the corporate guy having to do the corporate thing, I would have pivoted somehow, and I would have like, the person who let that get through would have been in trouble. That was pretty crazy to me. The Gem Mint 10 will go more. I'm not going to make any financial guarantee, but I presume the Gem Mint 10 will sell for more than a Gem Mint 9.5. I do not think the Gem Mint 10 will sell for as much as the current Pristine 10. I think the current Pristine 10 will come down slightly, and I think the current Gem Mint 9.5 that's going to a Gem Mint 10 will go up a decent amount. So the EV might go up. As I showed you in the spreadsheet, the EV of using CGC might go up because the price coming down of 4% of the cards and the price going up of 20% of the cards. Yeah, 20% of the cards has a drastically different effect on the EV because you're getting 5 times as much. So people are allergic to money. If you put up 50 or 100 different slabs for $20 free ship, or $15 free shipping, people won't buy them. If you put it for $15 and call it a random card, and you take a picture of a pile of those same 100 cards, people will buy all 100. And I don't do the slimy thing. I don't put like, you might get this, you might get that. I put in the description, just like Rusty did when he did his. He did a video about it several months ago. But I put that you're gonna get a card that's worth approximately what you paid per listing prices on eBay, and that's all I give. So yeah, let me here we go. I see Pokenomics in chat now. I think the CGC 10 will sell for more than the Black Label. I gotta jump down to throw these on screen. You gotta love Jake hopping into chat. He thinks the CGC 10 will sell for more than the Black Label. Very bullish take, Jake. I like it. Less rare, more modern equals better. I like it. Big numbers better. Moderner better. Yeah, that's pretty much all you need to know, to be honest. Let me continue on back where I was. I just had to jump. I see live chat here, and then I see old chat here where I highlight CGC 10 double perfects. I think that's a good idea. PSA 10 is perfect condition. It is the highest you can achieve. As of now, that will hurt the branding. CGC going from having an actual perfect 10 to now a pristine 10 being the highest, that will hurt the appeal and the branding, in my opinion, of the gold medal first best, because it's not really. There was a time period in CGC's past, literally all of the past before today, and before July 12th, where a perfect 10 existed, and those will cease to exist. So I feel like that's bad for the branding of their highest grade, whereas a PSA 10 has always been a perfect card. You can't get higher. A PSA 10 is the highest grade you can achieve in the world at that company. It's perfect. Logan Paul said it. It's perfect. His illustrator is a perfect 10 of 10. Yeah, I'm not a PSA 10 collector. I don't have like a massive inventory of PSA 10s. I don't personally think PSA 10s will be hit. Is CGC still grading with the old slabs right now, or is it done entirely unless you have the cards there already? As far as I understand, not 100% confirmed, I think you can send tomorrow and opt to get the old labels. I'm not positive on that, but I had cards there that shipped back to me today with the old labels, with the old standards. I have 9.5s that I can send in a month and get 10s. Still gem mint, but I'm not positive if you can send tomorrow and then get the old labels. If you can, I honestly might try to snag a couple like cheeky perfect 10s before they go away forever. We'll have to see though. Black Label has amazing branding. They do look clean. They look nice. They have great branding. They have great like mass appeal. People just love them. It's crazy. Dan fuming is an insignificant part of the market. The masses will not care. We are a minority by wide margins. Very much agree. Anytime Mr. Walrus talks about my insignificance, listen, I am negligible. I am infinitesimal. I am just one dude. We are one group of 116 people that are very deep in this hobby. 10 years from now, I think CGC will be a stronger company. I wouldn't have said that 12 hours ago. I was a little bit like lost. I was a little bit, my rational brain went away. It's because I was trying to rationalize the fact that 9.5 and 10 are like, I was trying to be too rational and logical, whereas the market isn't. I was losing my experience. I was losing my education in what all is going on here. I tried being too just inherently, fundamentally logical, but not being like appropriately logical for the reality and the market and everything we live and exist in that will not cease to exist. So yeah, I've woke up since this morning. Bigger number, better. Just be careful out there, because some amount of CGC, like I said, this is not against CGC. This is against grading in general. This is against humans putting a number on a card. Not all CGC 9.5s, not all CGC 10s, old 10s, new 10s, not all perfect 10s, not all Black Label 10s. They're not all PSA 10s. They're not all the grade they are. If you crack every card out of every case, a lot of them are going to change a decent amount. A lot of that, 95% will be plus or minus 1, but that has drastic implications for value. Plus or minus 1. 5%, well, 0.5% will be like plus or minus 2. 0.1% will be like plus or minus 3 or 4. We've all seen 6s to 10s and 10s to 6s and whatever. It's just crazy. Dan's so conceited. CGC would be better off if they did what I think is best. Yes. Hey, bigger numbers, better. I'm saying make more numbers bigger. Bigger numbers, better. More bigger numbers, more better, right? It's easy. No one wants half numbers. Show me a 7.5 collector. Show me a 6.5 collector. Show me an 8.5 collector. Make them all whole grades. Round them up. Make them bigger. Big numbers. You can't get too crazy. There is some extent. They're still giving out less than PSA in that scenario where they do what I said, round everything up. They're giving out way less than PSA, so we can't say they went too far with it. If you gave out 100%, if everyone's a 10, no one's a 10, all that. Shout out The Incredibles, great movie. If everyone's super, no one's super. If everyone's a 10, no one's a 10. So you can't get that drastic. But we know that 42% is acceptable. So PSA has shown us 42% is acceptable. They're only going to go to 24%. Let's go. Let's do it. 1 to 10, no halves. Showing paywall stuff, can I get a refund? That was only a small taste. Come on. You guys are able to follow along and not everyone else is. Man, is this Celebrations Charizard a play? First time I'm hearing about it. Harder to get doesn't mean it'll be more value. Yep, absolutely. Rationality, step aside. Logic, step aside. Like, people don't collect cards. People don't collect card condition. They collect labels. They collect brands. They collect hype, FOMO. People collect, like, yeah, it's crazy out here. Your energy is high tonight. Definitely a lot more energetic than normal. It's a fun live. This is too much math too late in the evening. I had to put that together. I put that together like half an hour before I went live. Walrus, this is the monthly presentation apparently. I'm doing next month, so some amount of my next month live might be like diving deeper into that if people want it. I can do something else too, but I swear I thought I was on 1.5x. Dan feeling it tonight. To be honest, I think this change is going to decrease prices of 9s and 10s across all grading companies, medium and long term. Correlation and causation. You can't always link them. I truly think, not universally, some will go up, some will go down, some will be flat. That boring answer, as always. Generally speaking, I think a lot of plastic premium will just trend down in the coming years. I think the plastic premium almost universally is just really high. I think a lot of things are like too easy. Some amount of it might be like imposter syndrome going on. But I do think some of it's like too high of a premium generally. I agree 9s and 10s will go down, not because of this. I just think that's going to happen naturally. In that alternate universe where CGC changed nothing, I think that will be the general trend regardless. Again, we won't be able to suss out what's what. Too many variables all acting on these things we follow. So, bro, you're really excited about stats. This is cool to see you're passionate about this stuff. I love numbers. I love spreadsheets. A lot of this lends itself very well to numbers and spreadsheets. I love the work that they're doing over at Pokemetrics, Pokedata, TCG Fish. I wish I knew how to do that kind of stuff, that kind of scraping, that kind of database compiling, and I don't know how to do all that stuff. But I do know how to run Excel, and I'm not even an expert at Excel. There's so many people that can do so many more things, but I have fun with it. I don't do as much as I used to when I was an engineer, so I need to do some of it here and there. Can y'all believe this? Flipper does this for every card he owns. I need to take an Adderall just to listen to Dan. Wow, glad my opinion sparked a paywall exclusive. Dan giving that free, you can tell he's pissed. Basic just got a headache. I apologize. We'll have to look into getting Advil as a sponsor, maybe. Never seen Dan so excited before. Is he showing us what analysis paralysis looks like in real time? Fair, very, very fair. We love formulas. This Dan on sugar. One of the most animated chat and animated Dans I've seen. Poking Fun doesn't feel good. PK still lurking. I don't know. I don't know if PK Amplitude dropped 100 gifted subs earlier. We got to see 100 lurkers. I didn't go through them. I was trying to catch up with chat. Pokebarn loving the spreadsheets. I've never had a shot of espresso. I don't drink coffee. I do more soda than I should. I do more Coke and Mountain Dew than I should, but it's mostly I get memed on for drinking milk with dinner by a couple of people. I don't know what the deal is about that. I don't know what's weird about drinking milk, but I drink mostly milk, iced tea, and then more soda than I should, and then I've been known to drink an IPA or two as well. PSA could literally raise their prices and it would probably be smart, but if they wanted to crush CGC, they would lower them. I think PSA is very smart to stay where they are. I think they should not go north of a 3-month turnaround time. And right now they're in that 2-month to 3-month turnaround time. I think drifting higher would be the wrong play. So I hope PSA stays as expensive as they are. Leaf Green Goblin just creased a card, cracking a slab. It was a PSA slab, but still CGC's fault. Yeah, there's absolutely a play. Not universally. Don't universally buy any CGC 9.5 at any price and try to cross grade it to a 10 and make money. Look at the numbers, look at the data, see what the sales are. Honestly, some people have alluded it in chat, and I'm sorry, Ponga, I haven't highlighted them. There's been some alluding to the fact that the biggest plays were probably made 2 and 3 weeks ago. Now that I hear the news, I heard murmurs of it last week. But apparently the news was being spilled out across the past few weeks, and some of that might have been through the studies. Like, I know certain people are trying to put it on individuals themselves. I've heard anecdotes as well, but I would be careful throwing accusations too specifically on things like that. And this is not me. Again, I'm not loyal to any of these companies more than I can do business with them or anything like that. But I would be careful throwing specific accusations of certain things like that, because there were focus groups, there were studies. Was some of the information leaked out through that? Were people weeks ago capitalizing because they were part of a study? Were they capitalizing because one of their friends was part of a study and they told them? It's not great feeling. But looking back at my eBay, thinking back, I started selling more 9.5s than I had prior, starting a few weeks ago. And I sold a lot this morning when everyone knew. But the better ones were selling a few weeks ago when I didn't know and a lot of people didn't know. So that's just the world we live in. I don't know how you would control that information from spreading. These companies are very large companies with many, many employees, all of whom are in Discords and have friend groups and have this. It is what it is. Not great. I didn't benefit off it. I've bought zero CGC 9.5s. Since I heard rumblings last week, since I heard the news this morning, I don't hardly ever buy graded cards. So that's all I can say on all that. I know I went into that rant on Funkymon's question when it was Ponga that was trying to get me to answer it in the chat for so long. But yeah, I see finally Dan acknowledged that I'm here. I put some of you on the screen, Ponga, but I don't want to put ones with specific people's names on that I have no proof of them, like, intentionally. Yeah, I just don't want to delve into, like, individually accusing individuals of intentionally manipulating things and this and that, and where and when the information came out, who was buying the 9.5s. I don't know. I guess I know some of them because I have the eBay sales history from a few weeks ago, but I'm not going to look into it too much. Can I send all my CGC 9.5s now, or I got to wait? I think they want you to wait till closer to July 12th, but I'm not positive. I don't have a ton to send, but I probably have 50 or something CGC 9.5s to send. Otherwise, says, just to clarify, I agree with your comments regarding reproducibility of grades. My comment was more so related to the reliability of a company just randomly bumping its grades. And that's the thing. Like, they're bumping the number, but the scale otherwise, it's weird. There's been all these times where BGS has gotten softer on black labels and PSA has gotten harder, and CGC got stricter for a while and then they got easier. A lot of these chains unannounced. How many of them were real? How many of them were kind of exaggerated over what the reality was? I made a video like a year ago. Is CGC grading easier? The data showed that they likely were, but it wasn't as drastic as many people seem to say, in my opinion at least. I showed the data. I tried to stay as objective as possible, just like I'm trying to do tonight. But people really love to just get, like I was this morning, riled up and emotional, and logically need not be present when things go that way. What effects will the CGC changes have on Super Restore 1 potions on the GE? Very bullish. Very bullish. Invest now. Old Skool RuneScape reference. CGC shot themselves in the foot today. Honestly, again, I've said it a couple times, but it has been over 2 hours now. 10 years from now, I think Matt said these exact words in his thing. I think years from now, CGC will look back and they will be glad they made the change. We'll never know what the alternate universe would have held for them. But Bigger numbers, better. That's what it comes down to. Short-term pain. They're feeling pain. Trust me. Every CGC employee, every CGC customer service rep, there is short-term pain. But I think it will come with long-term gain. I could be wrong. I mean, clip it, roast me in a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, if and when CGC fails. But I think overall it's as simple as they'll be grading harder than PSA, but easier than old CGC. Bigger numbers, better. That's what it comes down to. Feels too simple, feels too illogical, feels too crazy, but that literally might be it. Like, don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Bigger numbers, better. I've not heard anything about pack rating. Some people did think the new announcement was going to be pack rating. Thoughts on passing all my troll comments all night. Good thing I got to them before I got to this comment, so. They're getting rid of perfect 10, but they're keeping pristine 10. Yes, there will be a pristine 10, which historically has been given out to approximately 3.85% of cards, but presumably you'll add on the 0.66%. So it'll be approximately 4.5% of cards. If everything else is equal, we'll get a CGC 10 pristine, and then approximately 19% of cards will get a CGC 10 gem mint. So there are going to be two different 10s. And I think that hurts the branding, especially when 16,000, 17, 18,000 of these perfect 10s will be looming from pre-July 12th, 2023. I could be wrong there, but I feel like that hurts the branding on your highest grade. I see Pokenomics in the live chat saying, what are your feelings on the CGC news today? I feel good. I feel it's getting me some of the biggest live viewership I've had in a while. We've had solid like 120s for a little bit there. I think at one point I looked and we were over 150. That must have been when Amplitude was dropping the gifts or something, and YouTube was just having to funnel people in to get all those gifts away. But as a collector, I genuinely, like, if I still were as much of a collector as I was a few years ago, I wouldn't care that much. If I were 2014 Dan, and if CGC existed in 2014, I was a 9 collector, I would be like, well, I guess I can make more money now selling higher numbers to acquire the numbers that I want. So if I were collector Dan, overall, new label would be annoying. Like, I don't get as crazy about it as some people do. Some people get so frustrated. I was a PSA 9 collector, but if CGC were a thing, and I did have some BGS 9s. I did have some of them I crossed, some of them I didn't. But yeah, if I were just a collector and I had a lot of blue labels and I were like really picky about the labels, that would be annoying. But yeah, let me continue on. Do you agree that Ball Guy is undervalued? Horribly undervalued. I mean, very, very bullish, underrated, undervalued, all the good things. Ball Guy is a treasure. I have a Ball Guy playmat somewhere buried. I don't know, but I like that playmat. Blink says, kind of disappointed they didn't change the holder. It produces a glare I don't like. Even though CGC's is better quality, I actually prefer PSA's because of it. I really like CGC slab better than PSA's. But yeah, if you change something like a label, if you change something like a slab, some people are going to love it. Some people are going to hate it. It's a very risky thing to do. So say what you will. Place your bets, take your guesses on where they'll be in the future because of it. But CGC, like I said, BGS stepped a toe over the line and they got like spanked for it. And they pulled their foot back. CGC said, hold my beer. We're going for it. And they jumped over that line. They're like, we're all in on this. That all goes away if they like retract it all in a week or in a month or before July 12th. I don't think they're going to, though. It feels like CGC took the plunge and they're going to stick with it, and we'll see what happens. Pokenomics has been buying as many 9.5s as his credit allowed today. Thank you for the purchases, Jake. Those Caterpillars will make you money. Some of the 9.5s I sold today were pretty funny. Not much room to make a play paying $5 and shipping and all that. Loki was about to take a nap, and I was dumbstruck by Dan's rage. You exist and are logical, is what I got from that. And also CGC to the moon. I'm going to be cracking all of my PSA 9s and sending to CGC. Big brain, crack PSA 9s, get the CGC 9.5 early cert, then pay $5 and cross it into a CGC 10. Monotone Card says, while it will take a few years to see if this is if this change is a positive or a negative for CGC, if it is a positive change, BGS will kick themselves for listening to the hobby. Yeah, and you'll never know. Like, you never, when a decision is made, a fork in the road is made, and you'll never know what the outcome would have been otherwise. CGC could struggle in 5 years. CGC could cease to exist in 5 years because the broader markets could plummet. Things could go terrible for cardboard broadly. And in the alternate reality, they might have failed in 4 years. People will point in 5 years and they will say, ha, look, PSA is still around, BGS is still around, CGC failed because they changed the label. They don't know that. That's Monday morning quarterbacking. That's hindsight is 2020. It's so easy. Obvious plays are obvious a year or months after they developed and after you see the script for how it went, right? They should have an 11, absolutely. I talked about the double perfect label earlier. That's basically the 11. Turn the volume up to 11, baby. Big numbers, big numbers. I collect plastic and brands and not cards, and I like the number 10 only. Oh, man. I'm only 15 minutes behind live, so if you have questions, ask them. I'm getting close to catching up. The comment case says, maybe not a question for the live, but where in the Pokenomics Google Drive can I find the EV spreadsheet Dan showed earlier? It is called 2022-04. So it was originally shown in April of 2022, and then I updated it in July of 2022. And then it's the tab. There's 3 tabs at the bottom. Just check through the tabs. Do you think there's a chance CGC will take back the change? 99% sure they will not, but that's just a guess. That's just my gut. Who knows? I get we're here to troll, but there's at least 115 lurkers watching a fuming man furiously excelling. Glycine Airman is 2 hours behind. What did I miss? A lot. As a Wisconsinite myself, I too drink milk with dinner. Shout out to the guy who got my Japanese 9.5 20th Zard for the low for me last week. You'll never know. Like, some amount of 9.5s that sold last week were organic. They did not have insider information. Some amount probably did have insider information. And everyone always wants to be like a victim of something. And this, so it's like, oh yeah, I got screwed over by that guy with that insider information, blaming this person, blaming that person. You don't really know. You don't really know. A lot of people like to take the most sensationalistic scenario and apply that to themselves. The one where they were beaten up by the big guy and held back. And I'm not saying that about you. I'm just saying that in general. A lot of people like to be, yeah, I don't want to get too ranty on that, but they should just call everything a 10, good 10, fair 10, near mint 10, whatever. Absolutely. The names they have for each number on the scale is hilarious. Like a good 2, a fair 1, excellent is like near mint is a 7, excellent is a 6, I think. Because excellent, no, 6 is an excellent to mint, I believe. Maybe 5's an excellent. The verbiage, the words for each grade on the scale are crazy. DNA doesn't believe anyone would ever capitalize on insider information. Hanga's taking away the specific name. Can you show the BGS return to cool off? I have the grades. I have the email grades, but I don't have the cards in hand. I'll probably just show it. Pokenomics is buying out all the CGC 9.5 ball guys. I joked earlier about having a guest on the stream. I didn't have an actual guest planned. I was just gonna show you guys. I was gonna show you guys Snorlax. Snorlax, what do you think? What do you think about these CGC changes? Snorlax says he is bullish. So shout out to Snorlax. He's still living that early retirement, financial independence, retire early dream. Loving. Let's check out the Quaxley cam. What does Quaxley think? Here's what Quaxley thinks on the whole thing. So there's our guests. Those were the guests I alluded to earlier. We got to see and hear from Quaxley, the Quaxleys, two Quaxleys, and Snorlax. Snorlax is living on the beach. He's retired. He doesn't have to worry about this anymore. He put that whole 9 to 5 grind behind him. He got out of the rat race, and Snorlax is just living his best life. CGC scale does not affect Snorlax. I want to be Snorlax in like 5 or 10 years. So that's my goal. That's goals right there. On a scale of 1 to CGC 9.5, how excited are you to meet me in Charlotte? I am like CGC 8.5 excited to meet you. That's quite excited. That like maybe quad plus CGC 8.5. Maybe just below quad plus so that it will still be a new 8.5, but like really close to a 9. Let's see. This news even brought me out of lurking. Yeah. Crazy news today. Was your wife sick of the rants and the one who pushed you to just go live? She had work she had to do tonight too. Down to the last couple of days of school, so she's got some things to wrap up with that, and I figured I'd go live and stay up too late. Tag is interesting. I need to look into Tag more. I'm probably not going to do too much with them, but I contemplated sending off to DSG and into AGS and XYZ, and I think Tag is the one that Dan, shout out to DJ Gigabyte and David Person. They have a cool podcast they're doing weekly, Coffee Talks, I think they call it. They're on episode 10 or so maybe. But they talked about it a couple episodes ago, and I believe they use they call it AI. I think it's more just like they use computers. It's not really like actual AI. They use computers to scan and then grade your card on a scale. And I think they use a 1,000-point scale for that. And Dave actually asked a question in the chat, and Dave mentioned that their precision, their repeatability on their measurement, they claim, is plus or minus 6 out of 1,000, I believe he stated. I feel skeptical of that. I've not looked into it too much. It's on a to-do list somewhere on this desk to look into Tag more and to look into where they have the data. I would love to stress test that. I would love to crack and send in a card. If I went from 952 to 946 to 950, I would be like amazed. That would be insane. So I'm kind of skeptical. But yeah, it's on my to-do list to look at. I don't know if I'll ever get to it. Is Collecticon worth going to if you only have a couple $100 to spend? I truly like it's all your finances, your budget. Very personal decision, honestly, but I say this, and if I didn't make a single sale, I would go as a buyer only. I would go to hangout only. Like I bring inventory and I sell it because it's good for business. It's good to move a lot of inventory, and I can do it while still hanging out and all that. But it's an amazing experience to just be amongst fellow collectors, fellow passionate hobbyists, whatever. So yeah, depending on how much it costs you to get there and depending on your finances, and I think it absolutely could be worth it, personally. I only buy stuff to resell. I don't really buy anything for like collection-wise. Lord Pokesmoke going 401k loans. Yeah, Mr. Walrus saying the same thing I said. I think slabs should have finger-sized holes so you can touch and smell the cards. That's the first time I've heard that one, but I like it. Better yet, there should be a slot so you can take the card in and out. Dan, could you do a video of how much money you spent on grading alone? I think I actually covered that. I think I covered that in my 2021 or 2022 recap video. I don't remember, but let me just pull it up quick. I mean, I don't really mind sharing that. I have my quarterly taxes, annual tax number thing here. Trying to find it. So for grading in, I only look at this thing like when I have to around tax time, and it's already been out of mind. I don't see where I put grading fees. I don't know why I'm not control Fing. This was 2022. So it's weird. A lot of my 2020 cards I sent got like lumped into 2021 as far as when I paid them, because I had post pay with a lot of the middlemen grading. I paid like 80 something thousand dollars in 2021 for, or is that? No, that's 2022. I paid 80 something dollars for grading in 2022. I paid less than that in 2021, but still a lot. That one's not as handy. I heard a rumor that 8.5s will also be moved to 9s. 8.5 quad pluses will. And 1s will get the special gold shiny black label. CGC can close doors in 4 months, and Dan will deny this is the reason. I'd be shocked. I don't anticipate they'll be closing the doors in 4 months. I heard Giovanni was telling people inside information at Team Rocket Party last weekend. You said that CGC is going to still grade harder than PSA. If someone graded a CGC card yesterday and received a 9.5, that was rounded up from a 9, weaker CGC 9.5, which now would be moved to a 10. So theoretically, anything graded a CGC 9.25, weak 9.5, to a true 9.5 or higher will receive a 10. So they are letting everyone know the first 10s would be 9s or a 9.5 and are inherently weak. Does that make sense? You kind of lost me. So all 9.5s will be 10s. All old 9.5s. That's still only 20% of cards. You can go through card by card. I'm looking at all Pokemon cards. You can go by set. You can look up Celebrations Charizard. You can look up Moonbreon. You can look up base set Charizard. Whatever you want. I don't think there exists a single card where the CGC 10 rate is higher percentage-wise than the PSA 10 rate. I don't think that exists anywhere. So even under this new thing, I don't think the CGC 10 rate, CGC 9.5 rate, gem mint rate is higher than the PSA 10 rate anywhere. There could be niche examples here and there for some reason, but I don't think that's the case anywhere. So that said, big caveat, not every CGC 9.5 gem mint or CGC 10 gem mint will cross to a PSA 10 gem mint. It's so dumb to say that, though. It's so dumb to have to caveat that, because not every PSA 10 will grade a PSA 10. That's just what we're dealing with here. That's what we're dealing with. Not every BGS black label will grade a black label. Not every 10 will grade a 10. So obviously, not every CGC 9.5 will grade a PSA 10. With all the hours you're live and all the hours I watch, is it positive or negative EV? Negative EV, money-wise for sure. But happiness-wise, I think it's a plus EV for me at least. Hopefully for you guys too. Man will set up cameras everywhere except one pointing to the lawn. Nice take, Snorlax. I agree. The guests have oodles to say, very informative. Damn, only an 8.5 might not go now. We need you. You're going to be one of the MVPs of the section, I'm sure. Section 30, let's go. It's funny, like I consciously looked at my 9.5 Ancient Muse, and I'm like, should I delist those or should I not? Should I raise the prices or not? Because I sold some. I sold Pristine 10 Ancient Muse for where'd they go? I sold CGC 10 Pristine Ancient Muse for like $300 a piece. Crazy to me. They were not PSA 10s. They were CGC 10s, but they were not PSA 10s. Let me tell you. Uh, and I was faced with a decision. Should I delist my 9.5s or should I just grade more? And I don't have a ton. I don't have as many as I should. But these I pre-graded these all sealed. I think this is the stack. This might be the wrong stack. No, this looks well centered. These are all gonna CGC 10, or at least most of them will. So it's like I was happy to sell all my 9.5s. Some people might make 50 bucks here, 100 bucks there. Some people might. I think the 10 price is going to come down though. And I think, yeah, those 9.5 gem mints, they'll say 10 on the label, but they'll still just be gem mint. And they'll probably go for over 100, but like, good on you. Good on you if you were the guy that got the 9.5s. I saw them. I looked at them. I thought about going 150. I thought about going to. I made a lot of money selling them for 99. So I was happy to do that. I'll buy more raw, I'll buy more sealed, and we'll do it all over again. Bless the hobby. I had 9.5 celebrations Umbreons that got bought out. I had 9.5 celebrations Charizards that got bought out. I had Japanese 001 SVPs that were getting bought out. Crazy to me. When you retire early, what sort of spreadsheets will you make? I'll do spreadsheets on like my asset allocation. I'll still loosely, we don't have like a budget, but I track where our money goes. I do like a mass balance on our money. I'll do spreadsheets on stuff like that. Plus, I'm sure I'll find some hobbies in retirement that have some kind of spreadsheeting available to do for them. Shout out to Dan for drinking milk with his dinner and getting memed on. CGC now has an option called the automatic 10. You get the automatic 10 when you slip a $20 bill in with your card. Bullish. I'm never gonna be a long guy. I've never really understood it. I live on like a road with very, very little traffic, and my neighbor's a long guy. He's constantly out there fighting the dandelions, plucking them all by hand, spraying whatever chemicals he's spraying on them. I let it grow. I cut it. I cut it every few days when it needs to be cut, and that's about it. I don't water it. It was most of my lawn was dead a couple weeks ago because we had a couple weeks stretch with like no rain, not like Arizona-esque drought or anything, but a lot of brown patches on my lawn, and it's like, oh cool, I don't have to mow as frequently. That's nice. Tag doesn't grade Pokemon yet, but they have pics in their database with all the scans of your card and where all the flaws are. There's more companies that do that. I think DSG might do that too. Rusty did a video a long time about them, and I contemplated sending a few to them for kicks, but I never did. Are you worried about AI taking your job as the #1 paywalled PokeTuber? You could probably chat GPT something that would keep 100 people engaged in a YouTube live stream, to be honest. You just gotta like combine the whole chat GPT with all like video things they're doing. Yeah, there's crazy stuff out there. Obi-Wan Kenobi, I see you mention your grandfather has a very extensive Stein collection. My Stein knowledge is very specifically limited to these ones, Schultz and Dooley. If you want to, like, I would take a look. I'd be interested to see. I'm probably not gonna know much about it. But yeah, feel free to send me a DM. Any quick thoughts on the base set Zard CGC graded as an error when it was damaged from laminate? I did not see that. Doesn't surprise me. Every grading card company has some things that they would rather not have done in the past, and they're all humans. It's not an excuse. It's just a reality. Yo, Dan, we found a guy who has fancy cups too. One of these streams, I'll have to actually drink beer from one of those steins. Of course, Dan has spreadsheets I should have known. Definitely a positive EV on my happiness. Appreciate you, Panga. Is it sus that Dan can be rearranged to be DNA? Money is money. I'm happy to sell my 9.5s today too. I was talking with somebody about it in like privately. They sent me a screenshot of some cards they had sold, and I sent them some screenshots of some 9.5s I had sold that I also shared in a couple different Discords. But it's like I will gladly take added liquidity of very high print run cards that I can go out on the open market and just rebuy them mint, gem mint, and subsequently grade them after July 12th. It's like some amount of people probably think they got me, but like if they're winning and I'm winning, I like to sell the people who are also winning. A lot of times it doesn't go that way, and a lot of times people don't care to win. They're winning by getting the card. They're consuming the card. They don't care about future value. But it's a good thought to think I made money selling the Ancient Mew for 100, and the next guy might make money too. The ultimate guy, whoever buys that 10 Mew that's still just gem mint, like what are you doing? Buy it if you want it, buy it if you have the money, buy it if you can afford it. But like if you're buying the 10 gem mint because it's a better card now, that's just where, yeah, we know. Christian Diaz says, Dan, you always talk about the grading being a flawed process due to the inconsistencies of the grader, but can you draw valuable information from the grade ratios, 10-9 ratio, 9-8 etc? There is value. Like I am one that is quite critical of third-party grading companies. And honestly, less of it is on them and more of it's on the market from in many ways. Because I mentioned it earlier, all these companies have involvement in the secondary market. In a perfect world, in a pure world, they would solely grade the card objectively and not talk about or think about value, right? It didn't feel great when CGC acknowledged it, took that question, talked about value. But PSA, straight to the vault, sell it. CGC, PWCC, BGS, straight like PWC. They're all tied in. A lot of the companies owned by the same people. The people printing it, the people grading it, the people selling it. But I'm going to say it again. At the end of the day, third-party authentication and grading is actually a big value to the market. Me being able to sell this card, and you don't have to trust my opinion on it. The grading isn't perfect, but for me to say this is a pristine 10 by CGC trading cards, me being able to say this is a PSA 9, we both have a fundamental understanding, approximately, of the condition of the card. And there's value in that. I think the market way overblows the value of that. I think the market way overvalues conditional rarity. And that's just my take. Literally, I'm one guy. The market is the sum of every person in the market. So the market is more right than me in many ways. Not always. Literally, things get crazy and can revert back. But yeah, there's absolutely information to be gleaned, and there's information that's valuable to come from the different ratios and some of the things I talked about and showed earlier. But in my opinion, just the market vastly values all these things in plastic more than I do. Even raw for a lot of them now. Like there's just a lot of cards that, plastic aside, the market just values a lot of cards more than I do. So I sell them. That's if you have something that the market values more than you, whether it's a house or a car, or if the money that you selling that will bring to you can attain you more happiness, get you closer to your life goals, closer to your financial goals, then sell it and buy something else you value more, right? Buy something with more utility. Buy perfect. We got lawn talk. Someone has to have bingo by now. I've not seen the video on the laminate Zard. I feel like I remember seeing something in Discord. I feel like I remember seeing a picture of something in Discord where a Charizard was like, but I didn't follow up on it. I didn't see the video. Snorlax, the real star of the stream for sure. Buy everything, chat. Credit can be rebuilt if you default. Cash out refi for Pokemon. Appreciate you, Shadowless Tony, member for 1 month. I'm fully caught up on chat at this point. It is 12:40 a.m. I've been going for 2 hours and 40 minutes. I am hopeful. I'm very hopeful that tomorrow I can go live at 3 p.m. and talk about this. Actually, shout out, I forget who it was on Instagram, but they caught Mr. Walrus got me good. It said 250 minimum. It was an N to end the word instead of an M. But yeah, Mr. Walrus hit me with a typo that I completely missed out on. I need to double check and see if there's another one. But if you have any final questions, ask them in chat and I'll take them quickly. I am going to try to wrap up in the next 5 or 10 minutes tops, potentially 2 minutes if we don't get any more. So we'll see. 2 hours and 40 minutes though tonight. Anyone who asks me about CGC's new scale tomorrow, I'm going to kindly link you to this live stream where hopefully we can just talk about like anything else about the Pokemon market too if you want. But I'm generally going to be trying to talk about the eBay Vault. eBay Vault and the eBay Vault consignment and the general consignment. So Mr. Walrus with the Master Troll move. Yeah. Yeah. I need to update. I need to do a new post on Instagram looking like an absolute fool over here, trying to have a professional graphic made up. I wasn't tasked to proofread. Design was all that I was asked. To be fair, that is true. I take blame. I'm not trying to shift blame. I'm not saying I'm a victim of Mr. Walrus. It was just a well-executed evil scheme to make me look like a fool, and Mr. Walrus succeeded, so fully on me. I should have absolutely vetted that. But yeah, a good night, Leaf Green Goblin. Good night, everyone. I really appreciate you all hanging out. I don't see any last-minute questions coming in. I think we covered every angle of this, so when's the OSRS TOA stream with the boys? We got to off-stream, we got to practice some, and then we'll figure it out. So months and months and months away, I'm sure. Probably a winter thing. But yeah, I appreciate you all hanging out. I will catch you all tomorrow.